and Fisher Lumber. The day is finally here at 7:30. CJ Nasello here with you, Rick Faccin and Dan Herkert. It's election night in the Riverbend. We're going to bring you exclusive coverage right here on RiverBender.com. Guys, this is going to be a very, very exciting night.
It'll be a very interesting night tonight to see how the trends go, if we continue with what we've had in the last 2 to 3 election cycles, or if there's going to be a change.
Absolutely. We'll get into this in a couple of seconds. We already have some races getting called at the state level with the gubernatorial race and the Senate race too. But Dan, Rick, you guys have been a part of campaigns in different perspectives. Dan, you've run every campaign besides the presidency, and then Rick, you've been a long-time Madison County auditor. What does this night really mean for the parties involved, the politicians, if you will, the people?
Well, I think it's interesting to see how this is going to play out tonight. What candidates are going to be successful and what candidates won't be successful. And as I said, will we see a trend tonight that continues from the last 2 elections, or will things change? We'll soon find out.
There's only one way to. And Dan, how is it in a different perspective running campaigns? I mean, it's got to be the most nerve-wracking time for any campaign manager, anyone in that staff, right?
Well, to be entirely honest, with all the campaigns I've done, once the polls close is the most calm time you can have, because you know it's over. It's in the hands of the voters. But being here tonight, this is the first time in at least 10 election cycles I haven't either been in a war room or been on the phone with a war room looking at precinct results. So this is definitely a new experience, and we'll be not only looking at trends in Madison County, but across the nation to see how our Congress is going to go. There's already races being called around the country, none a surprise at this point in the Senate or the House that I've been able to see. But like you said, in Illinois, the AP and the Tribune and the New York Times have already called the Illinois governor's race and the Illinois Senate race, and we're still waiting on numbers in Madison County so we can talk about our local races. But statewide, it's looking good for the Democratic Party right now.
Absolutely, and we are putting on the screen right now the projected winner. Governor Pritzker will be back for another 4-year term, and not only Governor Pritzker, but also, guys, not even something we were really going to be surprised about, but Tammy Duckworth is now being the projected winner called. And what do you guys think? I mean, that's really nothing spectacular, right?
No, that was expected on both those races with J.B. Pritzker and Tammy Duckworth. Those races probably are no surprise for anybody, but there'll be some other interesting races locally and statewide later on.
Well,
the question on the statewide races really comes down to what the margin of victory is for these candidates, because all the polling pointed to, on a statewide level, Democrats doing well. Now here in Madison County's been trending Republican, and we'll see if it continues to trend that way. I'm sure that the statewide candidates will not do well in Madison County, but statewide they're clearly doing well, and we'll see if the trend continues for Republicans locally in their favor.
And CJ, if we can, we'll get comments from candidates and office holders on both sides of the aisle to see what their perspective is on these races and see what they think is going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, I got to ask you guys right off the bat, let's start national and work our way down. What races are you guys kind of looking at that are curious to you? Rick, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm looking at the Senate race here in Madison County with Chris Thorpe and Erica Harris. Another interesting race is going to be the representative race with Silkwood and Illick, and then you've got the judges. I think all those races are going to be interesting to watch and to track and follow as the night goes on.
Absolutely. Dan, where are you looking?
I tend to agree with Rick on the local level. On the national level, control of the House and Senate are up. The trends look like the Republicans will take the House back. The Senate is a toss-up right now. What we're watching is to see, typically in midterm elections, the party of the president in power does very poorly. We'll see if we have a red wave tonight or just a red trickle. And some of the early Senate and House races on the East Coast will tell us that, particularly New Hampshire. I'm watching North Carolina right now. the Democrat is ahead there. It's likely the Republican will win, but that's could be an interesting race. We've probably got 10 races. I've got notes here all over, but nationally we're going in with a 50-50 Senate decided by the vice president. In the House of Representatives, the Democrats have 222 seats to 213 for Republicans. Republicans need to net 5 seats nationally in order to take the House back. And then we've got some governor's races to watch. Right now, going into today, there were 28 Republican governors and 22 Democratic governors, so we'll see if there's a shift there. There's a few interesting races out there for governors, so we'll see later in the night. But there's going to be a lot of races tonight, particularly nationally, that we're not going to know the results for, probably potentially even into a week from now, just because of mail-in ballots and just the way certain states count their votes. But there's nothing weird about that. It's just the way they count the votes. And we saw that 2 years ago, particularly in Pennsylvania and Arizona and Nevada. And I think those states we may be waiting a long time to see the winners in. And Georgia's another. We may see a runoff there if neither Warnock or Walker gets 50% tonight.
Absolutely. And the text line is open for all of you guys that want to comment or show your support, or just let us know how you're feeling. 618-759-7469 is the number to text. I already got a couple that I cannot read, but I appreciate the thought. And we're going to leave it at that. But guys, I mean, this is an exciting night. And it seems like this election, we always say, is, the most contested, or it's getting competitive, or this is just boiling over. But this sure seems like that kind of fits the mold. It seems like everyone pulled out all the stops, all the mailing pieces, and all the TV ads. I mean, what are you guys thinking? Has this been more the one of the more hotly contested races?
Seems like it's pretty contentious races locally anyway.
Right.
Given some of the direct mail pieces we've received and what's went on there. But I guess that's just politics in 2022.
That's
so
certainly
we'll
the nature of the game anymore, and particularly something, CJ, you and I have talked about in the past, is the way we've just gone through redistricting after another census. So every state and every party is trying to give themselves an advantage, and we see more and more gerrymandered districts. And the problem with that is, and as somebody that has a lean, I want my side to win, but also somebody that has worked in that business, I like competitive races because that's where the money is. But when you have these gerrymandered districts, the primaries end up being the election, so you end up with candidates on the far left or the far right who don't have to tack to the center to win a general election. So then we get a Congress that can't get anything done because they all hate each other and they won't compromise.
Absolutely. And that's a completely bipartisan measure right there. It's in Republican states, Democrat states, and that's what makes it fun. And by the way, guys, we will be keeping you up to date on all the numbers coming in. Dan Herkert's got all of that covered for us, and we have numbers from all these past elections. And what's interesting to me, is there a reason that you guys can come up with or think about that maybe midterms are always down, with voter turnout than they compare to the presidential race? Is it that presidential aspect that gets people out more?
Well, I think you just touched on an important item, and that's the presidential aspect of it. People tend to vote more when the president's on the ballot, and I think you're going to see the same thing tonight. The presidential races are always. I ran in the presidential cycle, so that was beneficial to me to run in the presidential cycle. And off-year elections are just off-year elections. You just don't get as many voters.
Well, and locally, I went back and looked at the turnout numbers for the past few elections, both midterm and presidential. And then the past 3 midterm elections in Madison County, in 2010, turnout was 46.9%. In 2014, it was 44.8%. But in 2018, it spiked to 58%, which is a huge number, turnout number anywhere in a midterm. Now, in presidential years, by contrast, there's a huge difference. In 2012, turnout in Madison County was 69%. In 2016, it was 72%. And in 2020, it spiked to 74%. But you see that across the country.
Right. And guys, I want to ask you, Dan, you have the numbers there. Any word on the Workers' Amendment? Had that commented on Facebook?
Not yet. We haven't seen much on that. I'm monitoring both the Sun-Times and the Tribune, because both of them usually have pretty good and pretty quick numbers. But as soon as we get something that we can report on that may give us an idea of where that's going, we'll have it for you, because people have to remember there's 2 ways that can pass. It's either 60% overall or a formula of just a bare majority of people voting. So that one we may not know about until days from now, because you have to compute that.
Absolutely. And we're going to be taking a quick break here shortly. But, guys, just so you know, we're going to have phone calls, interviews on the line with candidates that have run in the past, the winners of tonight's races, and we'll get some more coverage for you and cover everything from the national level all the way down to our local races right here on RiverBender.com. But while I have you, let me tell you guys real quick about my favorite place to go in town. Just ask Rick and Dan. It's Johnson's Corner. Not a doubt about that. A staple in our community. When you walk into Johnson's Corner, you'll understand why I just keep coming back. They have the loosest slots in town, the best drinks, and, of course, the world-famous pork tenderloin sandwich, and one of my favorites, too. And, hey, they also have the best pizza in town. That is a fact. On top of all of that, guys, the people at Johnson's Corner are the reason that I keep coming back. From the staff to the regulars, you'll find out why it is the place to be. So join me, maybe even Rick and Dan, for a cold one, and right there at the corner of State and Logan. And for more information, check them out on their Facebook page or their website, johnsonscorner.com. More election night coverage comes your way after this. Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're right back here. Our Election Night in the Riverbend coverage is brought to you by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk and Removal. Sorry about that. That sound effect kind of got me going there, guys. And Fisher Lumber and Joe's Electric. And, guys, right now, a lot of great conversation getting ready to come our way. And, Rick, Dan, what are you guys thinking so far ahead of this election?
Well, it's still early in the evening. That's why I want to talk to some people and see what they think is going to happen, whether the trend will continue as a red trend or whether we'll go the other way.
Absolutely. And we have Steve Nahn on the phone now.
Steve, Rick Faccin, how you doing?
Hey, good, brother. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I want to start off by commending Steve for the job he does over there as county auditor. It was my pleasure for being a running mate with him for 20 years as the auditor, and Steve was a great teammate. Steve, what do you see tonight? And I know it's all we're doing is we're giving an educated guess. Do you think maybe we break this trend and it goes the other way?
You know, Rick, there was a time when you could make pretty good educated guesses in the elections in Madison County, but the trend has changed so much over the last 8 years that it's hard to say what's going to happen. The thing that's going on, I think, in people's mind nationally may come back down and haunt us locally, and they're voting their pocketbooks, and they're seeing the Republican Party is the party that's going to save them from, the high gas prices and inflation and all that. So if this continues nationally with Republicans and their red wave, I'm afraid we'll see this trickle down locally as well.
I think that's a good analysis of what's going on, and I think the national and the state level affects our local races. I think the Democrats have got an outstanding ticket, but it doesn't matter much if you're affected by the national perspective here in the county, which I think is just a conservative county. It seems like you've done a great job when you ran of bucking the trend, and that's because people know you and you've got a track record of excellence, and I'm sure that's going to continue.
Well, yeah, I hope so, and I think the incumbency for sure helped. That I had that track record of 18 years, and now I'm on year 20 or 22, and I'll be year 24 when the next election comes up. So I think having a good track record does help with the voters. But like I said, it's just hard to judge anymore, and even trusting polls. If you recall, when Trump won, everybody had Hillary just was going to murder him.
Yeah.
And he was down in every poll that you could imagine, and that began the beginning of nobody believing polls anymore.
Yeah.
Because polls had her winning really, really big.
Well, Steve, hey, it's Dan Herkert. Steve, how are you doing?
Hey, Dan. Good, Dan.
I think you just hit on something there with polling, and as somebody that's been doing this in campaigns for years and relied on polls with cell phones and the lack of landlines, polling has become more difficult for pollsters, so it is harder to trust the numbers.
Yes.
And you also hit on something where we see it across the country. We're seeing national issues get into local races where maybe the Democrats are trying to localize the race and make it about local issues, where the Republicans want to make it about national issues because that's where they do better.
There you go. I couldn't have put it any better than that. There was a time where, as the old saying was, all politics is local. I just don't know if that's the case anymore.
It certainly doesn't seem that way, and Madison County is not an outlier there. We're seeing that across the state of Illinois and across the country.
Hey, Steve, listen.
And Madison County's always been conservative. We're conservative Democrats. And what's going on and the turnover and Republicans taking over is remarkable in that the way we think and go about things isn't that much different.
Steve, great from hearing from you, and keep up the good work, and I'm sure I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for your input.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Bye-bye. And our election coverage continues here, guys. Great conversation with Steve Nahn. There, Rick. If for people that maybe haven't heard of Steve yet, younger people in my generation, what was Steve's role? What were his responsibilities?
Steve was county coroner, and as he said, he's going on year 22, Dan,
Mm-hmm.
I think, in there. And he was my running mate
for
all of my 20 years. Great guy to run with, great teammate, great guy that if you needed something, you could pick up the phone and call. But what's even more important is professionalism in the coroner's office, and just a genuine good person.
And when it comes to reading the county, Steve's one of the best at it. At least within the Democratic Party, Steve has a pretty good sense of politics within the county and how votes are going to come in and which precincts are going to determine races. So his perspective is important, and we're going to hear from both sides tonight, folks. So don't think this is just one side.
Yeah.
Rick set us up to talk to somebody from both sides.
We have a contact book in front of us in the names of Rick Faccin, I think it's safe to say. But, guys, also, because we've gotten a couple of texts about it, want to make sure we highlight and just make sure you guys are aware Marco Rubio has been called the projected winner of that Senate race in Florida, and Governor DeSantis gets another term. Not really surprising down there, is that?
Not real surprising. I can hit on some of the Senate races that have already been called. Illinois was called for Duckworth. Indiana and Kentucky have been called for the Republican incumbents. South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Florida, as you mentioned, and then the Democrats, the incumbents in Maryland and Connecticut have been called for them. In Vermont, Pat Leahy is stepping down, but they've already called that for Welch in New Hampshire, which is a bellwether we need to watch to see if there's going to be a wave tonight. The incumbent Maggie Hassan, the Democrat, is leading, but there's only 15% in there. In North Carolina, a race that is more likely Republican, but has tightened up. The Democrat is ahead by a small margin with almost 60% in, so that's one to keep an eye on. And Georgia, where one of the most hotly contested, most expensive races between Warnock and Walker. Right now, Warnock is ahead, but we'll probably see in a lot of these states a bit of a red mirage, as they called it 2 years ago, because Republicans tend to vote more on Election Day, where Democrats tend to vote more by mail. So we're going to see those votes change a little bit. We're seeing some stuff in Pennsylvania. The Democrat is up. That would be a pickup for Democrats, but that's a long way away because of the way they count votes there. We could be weeks into that one, and there's been some fights up there about how to count votes. So that one I wouldn't put much stock in tonight.
Also, ex-Trump spokeswoman Sarah Sanders was elected the next governor of Arkansas. And, guys, were you kind of looking at that one, or is that still another not really surprising one, or where do you guys stand?
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in what the big announcement is by Trump next week, the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of speculation that he may be running for president again. That's going to be something that will be on everybody's radar, and it'll be the topic of the evening on the 15th.
Yeah, that governor's race in Arkansas was a foregone conclusion.
Was it? Okay.
You're going to you're definitely going to see flips in Maryland and Massachusetts, who both had Republican governors. The Democrats there are going to take those back. So those will be flips for Democrats. Wisconsin is one to watch for governor because that's going to be a tight race that we're going to be watching until the wee hours of the morning and potentially days from now. But governor's races, Democrats seem to be doing okay, but we'll see how the polls come in. House races, it's hard to tell right now. I'm tracking a few to see if we can get a bellwether. But back to Illinois, the votes are starting to come in on statewide. Pritzker is still running hot and heavy, but a lot of those votes are coming in from places he should be strong in. But all of the statewide candidates in Illinois are holding substantial leads right now.
Absolutely. And guys, more conversation coming our way in just a few short minutes with really a lot of people that know 10 times the amount that I do. I'm just here to kind of liaison this when we got Dan Herkert, who has run campaigns at every level with the exception of the presidency, and Rick Faccin, who is a longtime Madison County auditor. And while I have you, we're going to take a quick break here in Buffer, but I do want to tell you guys about a really great individual that means a lot to me, and that's Denise Sparks. Denise Sparks is a lifesaver, and let me tell you why, okay? I don't want to say it to you guys, but I'm kind of going to. It's time to clean up all that clutter and crap in your house. I mean, even the neighbors are starting to talk about it. I've been hearing about it. In our area, there's only one company to call, and that's Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling. They offer an all-inclusive junk removal service, and they're now offering driveway-safe, rubber-tired dump trailer rental. Denise is truly the best, and I mean the best, when it comes to helping you take care of that unwanted mess. So give her a call or text her today, 618-781-1407. That's 618-781-1407. Or you can visit their website, sparksjunkremoval.net. And when you call and book your appointment, just two things for you. One, tell your neighbor that helps on the way so he doesn't call the landlord. And two, tell Denise that CJ sent you her way. We'll be back in a moment with more of our election night coverage in the Riverbend. Election night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBender.com.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're right back here for election night coverage in the Riverbend, 7:56. Dan, how are the polls looking right now locally? Any movement?
Well, we haven't gotten anything from Madison County as of yet, so we're still waiting on that.
And it's going to be an interesting time. We're still getting phone calls in right now, and on the line, and we have, I think, State's Attorney Tom Hain.
Yes, Tom, how you doing?
Hey, Rick, I'm all right. How about you guys?
Good, sir. Listen, just wanted to get your general impression of what, how you think these races are going to go. I know it's just an educated guess, like you're guessing with the rest of us, and commend you for the job you do in the state's attorney's office. You're following an icon in your father, who was a legend over there, is a great friend of mine, and provided excellent service for people in the county, and you're doing a good job of following his footsteps.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, well, I mean, shoot, I don't know. It's so early. I think the numbers are all still coming in, but I know it as a Republican, and I know, Rick, you might break out in hives here if you say that, but as a Republican, I feel really good. I think that the people in our area are increasingly dissatisfied with the kind of noise that's coming out of, well, D.C. and Springfield, frankly, and those are all controlled by the Democratic Party. And so they're just getting increasingly comfortable voting for Republicans. And I also think, after 2 years ago when we had so many Republican victories, I think we've had a lot to show in terms of making sure local government is run well, responsibly. Just my own office, we're focused on prosecuting crimes and making sure that we have a safe community and we have a good court system. So I think as a Republican, you can't help but feel very optimistic right now and proud of the races that were run on the Republican side. I know that people worked really hard. The party worked very hard together, and especially in the judicial races, I think the 3 sub-circuit races are very important. And I think those 3 candidates really did a fantastic job running a really good race, solid race, ethical race, and they should be proud of how they did it, win or lose. But I am optimistic, so we'll see.
Well, and I think that's a very astute observation you're giving. I think the messaging has to change from the Democratic side down here because our views down here aren't exactly what they are in Springfield or Chicago. And I think that's hurt our candidates, and I think what you're saying is spot on. So we'll just see as the night goes on and go from there, and I think there's going to be some interesting races. I think the Senate race could be tight. I think the judges' races, who knows what's going to happen there. And we'll just wait and see what happens. That's all we can do.
the judges' races, in my mind, will be the most interesting because that's a wholly new, political unit. The sub-circuits are created by the General Assembly, just less than half a year ago. So, it's that's an entity that hasn't existed, and so that's a voting block that's never had a united, never had a particular.
I'll tell you,
return.
I think you're right, Tom, and I think what's also going to be interesting is some of these county board races.
Yeah, all the new map. It's a completely new map.
I mean, doesn't bother me too much to be on this side of the microphone tonight, to tell you the truth.
It's nice not to be running, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, one of the problems that I've seen in terms of messaging, Rick, you can see this is, it's tough when the big party donor, J.B. Pritzker, you can't run against J.B. Pritzker. He's the one, paying for all the campaigns. But he's also the problem down here. I mean, I think that people see what he did in COVID, and people see the way that he's handled himself as governor and the kind of the Safety Act. I mean, that just does not resonate with folks down here. But how are you going to run against the guy who's paying for your campaign?
It's coming. And how do you tell him what he's doing? How do you tell him, Tom, what he's doing is wrong because he's winning? I mean, that's the whole thing. It's 3 minutes after 7. They've already declared the guy the winner. So, I mean, it's tough to go to him and say, hey, what you're doing isn't helping us down here, but that's kind of fallen on deaf ears. Listen, I want to tell you, I appreciate your comments. I think you do an excellent job. I wish you and your family well, and tell everybody I said hi. And I definitely miss your dad.
It. Yeah, and we got to get together soon. We got to go hang out at GB Grill one of these days.
We got to go down and see Jimmy. There's no question about it.
We got to have a little political update.
That's right. I think you flipped Jimmy on me, though. I think he's with you.
Oh, yeah. No, Jimmy, Jimmy's friendly territory for me, I think.
He thinks very highly of you. No question about it. We'll get down there. We'll have lunch in the next couple of weeks.
Excellent, Rick. All right, be well.
Thank you for your comments.
Thanks, Tom. State's Attorney Tom Hain calling in. We really appreciate that as our election night coverage keeps rolling on right here in the Riverbend. And, guys, I mean, we're almost getting to that point where we're going to start seeing some numbers roll out a little bit here locally. The race that, State's Attorney Hain hit right on the head, guys, is the judge races. I am really interested to see how those go. And once again, can we break that down and how we got to this point where we're voting on 3 different judges?
Well, it's a first time here.
You want me to call Michael?
Yeah, go for it.
The General Assembly decided to break Madison County into judicial sub-circuits rather than having the judges run county-wide. There's been a lot of controversy. Some people like that. Some people don't. That's not a debate I want to get into. But other counties have it. It's not new to Illinois. Whether it is good for Madison County remains to be seen. But normally judges run county-wide, and everybody votes on the circuit judges. Now we have 3 different sub-circuits, and this year's sub-circuit we're in includes Alton.
Yeah, and absolutely, Dan. And on top of that, I mean, if you think about it, Amy Scholler had her seat almost was, not there because she drew out of it.
She and Judge Threlkeld had to move into the new sub-circuit in order to run.
Exactly. And, that's what's really eye-opening for me, Dan. It really is because, I mean, it's one of those where we've said it already to this show is that gerrymandering, redistricting, it's starting to really affect a lot more people here in our area. It's always been around. Tell us what the difference is between gerrymandering and redistricting.
Well, redistricting happens every 10 years after the census to ensure the districts are relatively equal. They don't have to be 100% equal, but they have to be within a certain range. Some states have independent commissions that draw their districts that are nonpartisan, where a lot of states like Illinois, the General Assembly draws the new districts, and that's controlled by Democrats in Illinois. So we get a map that tends to favor Democrats. Missouri, controlled by Republicans, their map tends to favor Republicans. But as I said earlier in the show, one of the problems with gerrymandering in order to put your party in power is you end up with candidates that go far to the left or far to the right, and they win in the primary, and they're guaranteed to win the election in the general because of the way the district is drawn to favor them. So you get these candidates that don't have to make deals, that don't have to appeal to the center, and nobody gets great representation.
Absolutely. And David Michael is on the line now joining us. David, thank you for your time here on this election night in the Riverbend.
Yes, good evening. I'm happy to join. It's an exciting night.
David, Rick Faccin, how you been doing?
Rick, hey, I'm doing well. Good to hear from you.
All I hear is positives over there about you.
Well, that's good. Normally I say no news is good news, but if you're telling me you're hearing positives, I'll take
That's
it.
all I hear, and they said they definitely don't want me back there, so I think you got to be doing a great job then.
Well, I'll just chime
Yeah,
in.
must be doing something right.
David, this is Dan Herkert. I'll just chime in. Knowing Rick as long as I have, it's hard for him to compliment a Republican, so you must be doing one heck of a job.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow, jeez.
Hey, David, let me ask you, what's your impression?
Yes.
I know we're all taking guesses, and it's just an educated guess.
Yeah.
What's your impression of these races? What do you look for tonight, you think? Do the trend continue? And what races do you think are going to be races that are going to be interesting races?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, just from pulling the tapes, and for folks who maybe don't know at home, just we pulled the election day tapes out to try to get a early look at what the precincts are, what the results are in those precincts for the day of only. And it does look like it's going to be a good night for the Republicans locally. From what I can see, that there could be a little bit of a bifurcation between, say, the judges or Erica Harris and Jen Cordy and maybe the clerk's race. I think that one might be a little closer just from what I'm seeing. And the clerk's race would be the Debbie Ming Mendoza, Linda Andreas race. I think that one might be closer than perhaps any of the other races. Well, that's mainly the only countywide race, though. As you guys know, there's the treasurer, sheriff, and these regional superintendent of schools doesn't have an opponent, so those Republicans will win. But that one's going to be closer.
That's great information, David, because we don't have somebody pulling the election day tapes, so we're still waiting on numbers, and we'll see in Madison County if those mail-in ballots or the early vote comes in to favor Democrats like it does nationally. That may not happen here in Madison, but we could be seeing a slight red mirage. We don't know that yet, but having that information is great for us, that we know the election day vote does sound like it's trending for the Republican Party.
I'll tell you, that's what I've always said. Michael's always on top of things. He's getting information before everybody else does. And he's
you know me, I got 2 laptops open, TV on, phone's blowing up. I'm looking at numbers. You know me, I'm a numbers guy. So that's just kind of how I'm trying to break it down. And it looks like, I think Bailey's gonna, Bailey, DeVore, the governor, AG candidates, they're gonna win the county pretty handily.
Yeah.
But I think it's just gonna, that bifurcation maybe in the clerk's race is going to get interesting. So we'll just have to see. Like you said, Dan, I mean, it all depends with that early vote. And once that loads, I believe that loads right away. If you're following at home on the clerk's website, MadisonVotes.com, that loads right away. So we'll be able to get a pretty good idea, because if the Democrats are going to win, then they're going to have a blowout when that first loads. If you know what I'm saying, because that would have the early voting and the mail-in.
Absolutely. If we don't see a big win for Democrats when those come in, it'll be a good night for the Republicans locally. I mean, statewide, we've already seen is going Democratic, but obviously the statewide candidates on the Republican side are going to do well in Madison County.
Correct, exactly. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, like how far are the local candidates maybe trailing, say, Darren Bailey or Tom DeVore or Tom Demmer. If they're close to them, then it looks like people are just voting straight ticket all the way down, but if they're not, then you can kind of see a little bit of that bifurcation that people are switching down ballot.
That'll be interesting. Interesting to see if there are ticket splitters in Madison County tonight.
Well, David, I think we
as
both
time
agree.
goes on,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I think
I was just going to say.
Agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
We both agree that at the end of the day, whether it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, it's about good government. And I think you've reflected that in your performance in that auditor's office. It's about good government. And I think you owe me a debt of gratitude, because I wasn't a tough act to follow. So you came in behind me and I made you look real good. So
well, I appreciate that.
I
That's
wish
funny.
you the best. I think you're doing a good job, and I don't hear any negatives at all. And people appreciate you over there.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, and thanks for doing what you guys are doing there tonight. I'm sure it's very interesting getting all the candidates' feedback. So I know everybody's really anxious right now. All the candidates are. So I don't know if you talked to any of them yet, but
No, we're waiting for some
it'll be a
numbers
fun
to come
night.
in before we talk to the candidates. So
Yeah. So hopefully about another hour, we'll know a lot more locally.
hopefully.
And we really appreciate your time here tonight. And stay safe and well. If you want to call back in tonight, got anything else you want to share with us, feel free to do so, and we appreciate it.
Sounds good. Yes.
Talk to you soon, David.
I do have one update. Since we had the questions about the workers' rights amendment, early numbers for that, only 8% in, nothing. I mean, these numbers really don't mean a lot, but it is passing with 65%. But that is so early, that's going to tighten up. I wouldn't put too much stock in it, but there is an update for you. There's 8% in according to the to the Sun Times, and that is sitting at 65% yes right now.
Absolutely, and thank you guys. Thank you for that update, Dan. We're going to take a quick break, but before we take that break, we got more election night coverage coming your way. You're going to hear phone calls from a lot of the local candidates, some individuals that were a part of the campaigns and local elections for years. But before I do that, let me tell you guys about another staple right here in our own backyard. You guys know Fisher Lumber Company is celebrating 81 years of business this year. How impressive is that? Growth and a family presence in East Alton ever since then. Since the company's founding in 1941, the full-service lumber yard has more than tripled and expanded all over the St. Louis and Metro East area. Fisher Lumber continues to serve a large range of customers, from building contractors, government agencies, small businesses, hospitals, and a plethora of others. The company strives to cater to all of its customers and their individual lumber needs. It delivers within a 60-mile radius, doing a lot of business on both sides of the river. With pride, the Fishers have watched their business continue to succeed and grow over the past 81 years, and as far as I can say, they're going to watch it grow for another 81. So for more information, check them out online, FisherLumber.com, or give them a call today, 618-259-7434. We'll be right back with more election night coverage after this. Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com. Or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. Our election night coverage in the Riverbend on RiverBender.com continues. We're underway 8:15 on this Tuesday night. Guys, things are starting to heat up a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit more exciting. Dan, are you seeing anything over there?
Nothing in particular right now. I'm kind of watching the national side of things just to see if we can see if any kind of wave is developing, and so far I don't see that, but there's not a lot out there yet to go on. I mean, on the Illinois side, the statewide side, certainly the Democrats are doing well. We don't see a whole lot on the congressional level yet, and some of there's 3 districts I'd be watching in Illinois: the new 13th, the 17th, which is an open seat, and then the 6th district, which is Sean Castan's district. But we've only got early numbers on those, so we just don't know at this point.
And we did get a text come in, and it's a great point to be made about the Arkansas race for governor. Sarah Sanders was the first ever woman elected to the governor's seat in Arkansas, and definitely a good point to be made. And thank you guys for texting in. If you want to be a part of this program, want to ask Dan or Rick any questions, I would not ask me too many. Listen, I just read the encyclopedia yesterday. 618-759-7469, 618-759-7469, number to call. We're still awaiting. We're getting more phone calls. We're going to stand by and wait for who we got calling in, Rick?
Ray Wesley.
Ray Wesley, and chairman of the Republican Party in Madison County. He's going to be calling in just a few short seconds. Yeah, might as well. Okay. We'll get this all done. And by the way, if you guys want to text in, it's going to be a great night to listen to your local elected officials and local figureheads that have been running this county for a long time. And Dan, you've had a chance to work, in these races at the county level, at the local level for the city. What's the difference as you take those steps and progress higher and higher in those rankings?
Well, politics is politics. If you're going to do it, you have to have a message, and the local level is more about meeting people directly, where the larger the race, you end up doing more advertising. So there's differences. We can dive into that later because I know we've got somebody on the line.
Yeah, we got Ray Wesley on the phone. And he's the chairman of the Republican Party in Madison County. Sir, how are we doing this evening? Hello? Hello?
You don't have Ray Wesley. You got Randy Harris.
Randy Harris. Sorry.
It's okay.
Rick's been handing out so many numbers, Randy. I don't know where we're at here. No, thank you
That's
so much
right.
for your time. Well, Rick, I'll let you take it away from me.
Randy, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Rick. Good to hear from you.
Good hearing from you too. Just calling. I know we're taking educated guesses. What do you see happening tonight?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. That's the educated guess part of that, right?
That's right.
Turnout was up. Turnout
Oh.
high, really everywhere I was at. Haven't seen any numbers yet, but I think we've got a great slate of candidates running. I think we've got some really good folks here locally. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Were you?
No, Randy, it's Dan Herkert.
Yeah.
I was just going to jump in. The county clerk just dumped the first election results on their website, 46 out of 191 precincts, so we don't know a lot. So, but those numbers are out there for folks that want to see them. And right now it looks like early voting typically is what comes in first, and that looks better for the Dems, so we'll see what happens as the night goes on.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that. A lot of those early vote numbers come in, and it looks good. And I think we've got some great candidates. I think they've done a great job getting out and talking to people here locally. Debbie who runs the elections, is also just a magnificent county clerk and county recorder, and deserves another term. We've got 10 competitive county board races, and all 10 of those folks were really strong candidates and got out and worked hard. Chris Tharp, Katie Stewart, Joe Silkwood, good. I mean, couldn't think of three better folks to represent Southwestern Illinois. And then the three judicial races with John Barry Julian and Ryan Jumper and Ebony Huddleston really, really worked hard. So I think they're great folks. I think they're great candidates. I think they've all got really good shots. With the turnout numbers being where they are, it could be a really good night or it could be a really bad night. I'm just not sure. I don't know what those numbers mean anymore. It's
Randy,
hard
if I can say something, I think you did an excellent job of putting the slate together. I agree with what you're saying. You've done an excellent job of putting the slate together, and they're all good candidates. I saw them out there. They're working hard, and that's a key to an election, is working hard. And I think all these candidates have done a good job of that, and you're to be commended for that.
Well, thanks, Rick. It's too kind. I appreciate it, but the party's going through some changes, and and look, you guys know this, Dan, and that especially at the national and statewide level to a certain extent, the Democratic Party has stopped talking to blue collar voters in some ways. And we've tried very hard here locally to encourage and talk to candidates and make sure that we've got people here locally that reflect the value that we all share down here of hard work, of getting up and going to work, of supporting working class people, of ensuring that we've got good funding for our schools, that we've got safe communities, that we support our first responders and firefighters and police. And we care about making sure that government does what government's supposed to do. So I think we've got some candidates that reflect all that, and we've just got to continue to talk to voters about why our ideas are better than theirs.
Yeah, that's a good point, Randy, and I think you as chairman have done a good job of trying to localize races to help your candidates. I have to be nonpartisan tonight. But then I think we've seen the Republicans in Madison County try to nationalize the races and take it away from local issues because that benefits them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's 100% true. And trying to cut through some of that national and statewide climate, particularly anymore in social media, is just tough. And that's why we really, really encourage all of our candidates. They had to get out on doors and talk to voters one-on-one and talk to people where they were and about issues that matter to those pocketbook and kitchen table issues that matter to people who like all of us have to get up and go to work for a living.
Absolutely. Great comments, and really appreciate you taking the time out on a very busy night and coming on this show.
Randy, I think that's a very astute,
appreciate it.
Very astute opinion on your part, and we'll just see what happens.
Hey, you guys have a great night. Thanks for the call. If you need anything else from me, we'll talk soon. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Randy.
And guys, the conversation keeps rolling on. Who's joining us now by phone, Rick?
Chris Slusser.
Is this Chris Slusser?
Yeah, this is Chris Slusser.
We got one right. It's time to go gamble, Rick.
Yeah. Chris, how you been doing?
I've been doing good.
Well, I think you're doing a great job in that treasurer's office, and I tell you what, it was a pleasure to work with you in the years that we were together. There's me as the auditor, you as a treasurer, and you got a great chief deputy there too, in Patrick McCray. I had to throw that in for him. But what do you see happening tonight? What do you think is going to happen in these races?
I think it's looking pretty good for Republicans throughout the county. I think these judicial races, I think we didn't know what to think there. A lot of money got spent on those races. And the Democrats in Springfield gerrymandered some districts here to try to keep control, and I don't think it's panning out. It looks like it's going to be fairly close, but from the numbers I'm seeing in Wood River and Granite City, it looks like the Republicans may win all three of those seats tonight.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just didn't know if you saw anything that you were expecting, the turnout to go a different way. Anything surprising you tonight, Chris?
You know what? I saw some numbers in that Senate race, the 56th district with, these are preliminary numbers. We have people pulling tapes at the precincts, so that doesn't include the early voting. But I thought that would be a little closer in some of the areas, but I've talked to some people in Granite City, and then I've seen some of the ones in Wood River and Roxana where, the Democrats were all taking a pretty good beating in some of those precincts. I thought that I was told by everyone in polling that we'd seen and internally on both sides that it was a 50-50 race, but it looks like it's shaping up to maybe be a pretty strong night for Erica Harris.
Chris, this is Dan Herkert. That's great information because the county clerk is starting to dump in some of the early vote onto their website, and it is typical. It favors Democrats a little, but it's good to know that we're hearing some information that the election day voting is favoring Republicans. So we may be seeing at least in Madison County on the website, a bit of a blue mirage.
So, Chris,
Yes,
do you see this red wave trending that way to continue to trend?
Yes, I mean, I think I'm looking at the numbers in Roxana. This is just election day voting. You had Harris 180, Tharp 96, Ellick 186, Silkwood 92. You had Threckel for judge 180, Julian 94, Berkeley 185, Jumper 88, Scholler 194, Huddleston 83. And then Wood River 6 was a little bit bigger turnout, but very similar numbers.
That's interesting.
That's really interesting because the early vote, at least it looks.
The early vote always goes.
It always goes.
Always goes to Democrats.
Absolutely, it tracks.
The Democrats are. They're a lot better than Republicans at getting the early vote out.
Certainly,
for sure.
In Madison County is no different than the rest of the country. And to your point, both Julian and Jumper are up in the early vote. Huddleston is down to Scholler, but your numbers tell us that these are going to be a lot tighter races than the early numbers are showing.
Yes, and typically our rule of thumb is as Republicans, when we see those early votes get posted, as long as we're not just getting completely blown out, we feel really good. And I think Amy Scholler, when I saw her early voting totals, I mean, I think you can almost call the race for her at this point, in my opinion.
I would tend to agree with you there.
Yeah, the other two will be a little closer, but it'll be interesting.
Well, Chris, I think that's a very astute observation, as always, from you. And it's great talking to you. I'll be over to see you before long and maybe go to lunch. But
all right, that sounds good.
Keep up the good work, and we'll go from there.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, and that was Chris Lesser on the line with us, and really great conversation, great points being made, and more text coming into the text line. Waiting for it to load because, sometimes when you're in the basement, the internet goes a little bit slower. But do want to share some of the texts that we've received so far. If you want to be part of the program, 618-759-7469 is the number to text. And guys, real quick, we got to take another break because we have more people giving us phone calls. We have all this type of conversation going around, but I got to tell you, before I do that, I want to tell you about another great business that's powering election night and helping us all bring information to you guys. And that company is Joe's Electric, a great company right here in the Riverbend. How are you guys thinking about going solar? I mean, it's not a bad option to look at. I mean, you could get energy credits and 30% federal tax credits just by going solar. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Joe's Electric Incorporated in Staunton is offering agricultural, commercial, and residential solar, battery backup options, electric vehicle charging, electric services. They're also available too. Hey, it's the new day and age, and Joe's Electric is going to take us right to the promised land. Let Joe's Electric design a system that's right for you. Search or call Joe's Electric Incorporated in Staunton today for a free estimate. And make sure when you call them that you tell them that CJ sent you their way. Election night in the Riverbend continues after this. Election night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
I just got a new air conditioner. Top of the line.
I bet mine's better. It's so efficient and quiet, I hardly know it's running.
I've got you both trunked. I've got a Linux.
So do I.
Barrett Heating and Cooling carries Linux products to meet any budget. Don't gamble with your energy dollars. Call Barrett Heating and Cooling and start saving today.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Mungan Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Mungan Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Mungan Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're back here for Election Night in the Riverbend. We got more conversation in just a few short minutes, and actually a few short seconds. We have already individuals on the line waiting for us. Rick, Dan, what are you looking at so far tonight?
We're just getting initial numbers in the county, and a lot of that's early vote, so it tends to favor Democrats. And we've heard from some of our Republican county officials that are starting to see Election Day numbers that favor the Republicans, which is traditional. So right now, I would give the edge in the county to the Republican Party, but we'll see how these races go.
Absolutely. And Rick, what are you thinking about so far tonight?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. Like Dan said, the edge may go to the Republicans. Now things can change real quick. We'll just have to wait and see and take a look as the precincts come in and see who they're coming in from. And hopefully we pick it up. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And guys, we are still waiting. Right now we have on Ray Wesley with the Democratic Party and Republican Party. My apologies there. We're still waiting because we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're back to normal here now. So give us a couple of seconds. We'll get Ray on the line here. I don't know what's going on here, but we'll figure it out. Give me about 2 seconds. Dan, Rick, fill in for me while I'm trying to get this.
Ray's not on the line now, is he?
He is. We're just trying to get him on the board. So we got a little technical dilemma, but right now, tell us how you guys are feeling so far ahead of tonight.
Ray, what do you think?
Ray can't hear us yet. I got to get him on. Dan, what do you think about tonight?
Well, I'm just going back and looking at some of the statewide races just to update. I mean, all the statewide candidates it's favoring the Democrats by pretty large margins, which was not unexpected with just how Illinois has turned blue over the years. Some of the congressional districts, it looks like the district that we're sitting in, the new 13th district, it looks like Nikki Budzinski is ahead. We'll see how that pans out. Nationally, I'm trying to look at some of these election results on the Senate side and the gubernatorial side. No big surprises yet. I'm still watching that New Hampshire race because if the Republicans flip that, it's likely a red wave across the country tonight. But thus far, I can't say with 18% and up there what really is happening.
And Rick, what do you got to say about it?
Well, I'm really concerned about the local races, of course, because I was a local elected official. We've got some interesting numbers here, and we'll see where they take us as the night goes on. It's interesting. It's interesting being on this side of the mic and not sitting at home or at a watch party worried about what's going to happen with my race. But no, it's a different perspective altogether.
Absolutely. And Ray's going to call back in just a couple of seconds. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. Apologies for that. And, that's what's fun about doing a live show. Yeah. But, guys, like Chris Lusser was saying, it's really these judge races are really starting to intrigue me a little bit more. And to hear already that Judge Scholler is up, ahead in her early votes. What does that tell us? Anything that you guys can think of, or is it kind of something we shouldn't be talking about just yet?
It's a whole new ball game because we have these judicial sub-circuits where they're running in quote-unquote districts now instead of county-wide, and Judge Scholler is ahead with probably about a third of the vote in that we're seeing here from the county. Both Judge Jumper and Judge Julian are ahead in their races, but that could change, as we heard earlier from some of our Republican office holders who are pulling the tapes at the precincts and seeing the election day numbers, that those are favoring Republicans. So the question will be, did Democrats do well in turning their vote out in early voting and mail voting in order to narrow that gap? But like I said, we'll see, and numbers are starting to come quick and fast. So.
Any updates on Jersey County yet? We had a couple of texts.
I have been checking their website, nothing yet. I've also been checking Calhoun County because that's near and dear to my heart, having grown up there, and my dad being a party official up there. I'm sure that's why he was trying to call me earlier, and I couldn't take the call, so I'm probably getting a cussing somewhere.
But and we are going to keep you tuned to Jersey County as well as Calhoun County because you guys are in our coverage area too. So stand by for all of that and more. And we're going to get, like I said, Ray Wesley back on the phone here in just a few short minutes. And apologies for that. Normally this doesn't happen, but
well, as we said earlier, as long as nothing catches on fire tonight, we're in good shape.
That's for sure. And another anything nationally going on that we need to highlight yet, or are we still ways away?
Thus far, no major surprises. In North Carolina, the Republican has pulled ahead in the Senate race, which was not unexpected. Georgia is still counting votes, but Warnock is ahead of Herschel Walker by a few points. We're starting to get some numbers in. We've got half the vote in Ohio, and the Republican is leading there. That would be a hold for them because that's a Republican seat. Pennsylvania is a long way to go. And New Hampshire, like I said, that I'm watching to see if that race changes anything. But there's a lot of vote out there. The Democrat is ahead. So no major surprises to me on the Senate level yet. I'm trying to pull up some governor's races and some House races.
Governor Abbott just won his reelection.
That was not a surprise in Texas that Governor Abbott would win. I'm pulling the way these websites work, it's harder to pull up the governor races. But I'm watching Wisconsin too. That's going to be a very tight governor's race.
It really is. And there's so many races that are really just as neck and neck as you kind of would have thought right now. It's 8:37 on election night, and more coverage will be coming your way in just a few short seconds as we're standing by to see what happened to my control board here. And before then, though, we will get back on the line with so many great people and hear about it. But, Rick, have you ever been on the losing end of things in a race?
No, fortunately for me, I've ran 5 races countywide and 2 in my county board district, and fortunately for me, I won all 7 of those races. None of them were really close, so I don't know what it feels like to be in a tight race, and people in this county have always been good to me. People especially, just all over the county. So,
right.
No, I consider a very fortunate man, and I hope the people feel like I did my job and did what I thought was right in the auditor's office. I was surrounded by a great staff, Chief Deputy Jennifer Zolzer, and I want to again commend David Michael for keeping the staff. Very wise move on his part. And people in that office are professionals who do a good job day in and day out. So they made me look good, I'll tell you that. 20 years I was over there.
And Dan, let me ask you this. What's one of these, every, election night, is there ever a time to where you kind of look back and think about the many races that you've been a part of, any election night?
Part of mine.
That's true too. Does any of that come to mind?
Well, certainly it does. When you've done it for so long and you've been in war rooms counting votes, I do miss it, But like I said early in the show tonight, once the polls close, that for me, that's always been a time of calm because there's nothing more you can do.
Right. And, and that's a great point. It's 8:39 here on Election Night in the Riverbend. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back with more coverage on the 2022 midterms from RiverBender.com after this.
You want to do Bob?
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank. The local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Mungan Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Mungan Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Mungan Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're right back here. Election Night in the Riverbend continues. Rick Faccin, Dan Herkert, CJ Nasello joining you. And joining us now by phone because, well, we had to adapt on the fly. Thank you, Dan. A good campaign manager right there, always is prepared. And right now, joining us on the phone, Rick, who do we have?
We've got Ray Wesley, the Republican County Chairman here in Madison County. Ray, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Rick. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. What do you see here, Ray, tonight? Just an educated guess. That's all we can do at this point. We're getting some numbers in.
Well, Well, I tell you what, Rick. Unfortunately, I'm at a tabulation center, and I haven't seen any results yet. But I feel good about what we had going in. We've got great candidates, and we're just hopeful that the people of Madison County share the same views we do.
Well, I think you've done a good job of putting a good slate together. I think you and Randy Harris both have got good candidates on both sides of the aisle. And I go way back with you, as you know, and you've always been a very reasonable individual, and we could always sit down and talk things out. And I think we were both proponents of good government. I want to commend you on that. You were on the county board. You did an excellent job there, and it kind of pains me to see you did an excellent job as a Republican chairman, too, by what's happened the last 2 terms. I think you've got your party headed in the right direction, and it doesn't surprise me that you do an excellent job.
Well, thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. And, we do go back a long way. And while we didn't always agree on every issue, we certainly had a good working relationship, and we were able to work through whatever problems we had. And we were all in it to make sure that we were doing what was best for the taxpayers of Madison County.
I think at the end of the day, Ray, and I've said this a couple times earlier this evening, I think both of us know at the end of the day it's about good government, and I think we're both interested in that. So I commend you on that, and I enjoyed working with you. I really did. You were very level-headed, you're reasonable, and that's what it takes to get things done.
I agree with you, Rick. Thank you. And certainly it makes the job of county board member or party chairman a lot easier when you're working with people that want to do the right thing. So
that's right. We'll see what happens as the numbers come in, and you have a good evening.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Rick.
you,
I
sir.
appreciate you guys. Okay.
Awesome. And more of our conversation with local officials. I know we have Bob Diber calling in. Not yet, but he will be in about 20 seconds or so if he's accurate with his time. We did that pretty good. We said 6 minutes. We got it in, and really just more great conversations as the votes are getting tallied now. It's getting underway. 4 of 7 precincts in for County Board Member District 19, and more results coming on the county website. Dan, anything jumping out at you so far?
Nothing yet. I mean, the races are tightening as the votes come in. We knew that would happen. Democrats do better with early voting, and as these precincts are coming in, it looks like the Republicans are doing well. So we'll see how the night goes. I'm starting to see some stuff in the county board districts, but I wouldn't put too much stock in it this early. There's some close races out there, and countywide Republicans are doing well, and that's not to be unexpected.
Absolutely. And guys, we have, like I said, if you guys want to text in, you can, 618-759-7469. Already have gotten dozens of texts so far. And anything you want to kind of weigh in on or ask us questions if we're seeing anything that you haven't seen yet. We do have some results now being tallied for Jersey County Sheriff. Nicholas Manns is ahead right now. I don't know by chance how many precincts they're reporting, but right now 4,293. And I'm on jerseycounty.il.com for that content. And Mike Ringhausen is right underneath of him, 48% of the vote. He has 4,011 votes so far, and that race will only grow, I assume, with the voter. How many voters do you normally see in Jersey County, Dan?
I would have to go back and look. I'm trying to figure out how you're getting it, and I'm not, because I've got the same website pulled up over here.
See, that's why you can tell I've been in media. You find a way, Rick. You know, you always do. And like we said, Bob Diber calling in just a couple of minutes. We're still awaiting his phone call. And we have had this replay will be available 24/7 on demand on RiverBender.com/videos if you guys want to check that out. And we'll also have some analysis tomorrow morning on our daily show.
And if you want to use the replay of this, it'll make the rats get out of your house.
Why do you think my show's becoming popular, Dan? I'm actually becoming an exterminator in my part-time job. But but this is going to be great. So we'll have some coverage starting again tomorrow at 9, but we'll be taking you throughout the night right here on RiverBender.com, still awaiting Mr. Diver's phone call. But while I have you guys, you know, this is really starting to, we're at the point, it seems like everything's slow going here locally, and then it all seems to kind of come out of nowhere. Dan, you look very perplexed over there. Anything going on?
No, I'm I'm playing with some of these websites. Some of these smaller counties they're not quite as technologically ahead as the larger counties. So just some things that intrigue me personally in some of our smaller counties in Illinois.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, we're still going to give you up-to-date analysis on Jersey County too. We don't know how many precincts have been getting reported yet, but we will find that out for you too. Any update on the workers' right amendment, Dan?
I can pull that up right now to see where that stands statewide. Give me 1 second here. With 25% in, it is passing the yes vote at 63.8%, but we've got a long way to go on that one.
And now, can you explain to us real quick? We're still waiting for Bob to call into the show, but if you have a couple of minutes, Dan, why does it? There's two ways this could go through, and can you kind of explain that a little bit more for all of us at home?
I can try, but I may screw it up because there's a weird situation where overall, if it gets 60% of the vote or more, it passes. But then there's another formula in there that says something to the effect of if it passes with a bare majority of those voting, it could also pass. But right now, if it holds, it would pass in general. But we'll see. I mean, I'm just looking up the state on the governor's race. 50% of the vote is in the state, and Governor Pritzker has almost 58% of the vote. And I'm looking at where that vote's coming from. It's no surprise there.
Right.
But all of the statewide candidates, the Democrats are winning right now. We're starting to see some stuff in the Illinois General Assembly, even locally. I can give you an update on what the Tribune is showing. Right now with nearly 40% in, Amy Ellick is up over Joe Silkwood in the 111th district, 53-47. With only 24% in the 112th district, Stewart is up over Cordy, 60-40. So we'll see how those go in the Senate race. If I can find that here.
While you look for, let me turn my microphone back on. While you look for that, we got Bob Diber on the phone now with us, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on election night in the Riverbend. How are you feeling?
Great. I think we have some very good returns coming in.
What do you think, Bob? What's your impression of this night? Bob Diver was regional superintendent of schools for my tenure as auditor over there, was candidate for governor, and Bob always did the right thing. He was always a good office holder, and he's a pleasure to work with. What do you see as maybe the night going on, just an educated guess?
Well, I think we have some very close races. County clerk's race is close, within a couple of thousand votes, with about 50% of the precincts have been reported. It was interesting to see that Nikki Bazinski's running for Congress is up by a pretty good margin in Madison County. And we have several county board races that look very favorable for Democrats in some of the areas that were questionable. So Erica Kukuchek is up in the Glen Carbon area, and that was previously held by a Republican seat. So I think overall the Democrats are faring good despite the Republican, let's say, wave that was supposed to take place. And as we all know, Governor Pritzker is reelected, and Tammy Duckworth has won tonight.
Yeah, so, those were kind of no doubters from the beginning. We're hopeful. I guess Democrats are hopeful in these county board races that they keep what they got and maybe get another seat or two. We'll just have to wait and see.
It looked very good for incumbent Michael Holliday from Alton and Bill Starborough from Alton. They both have pretty good leads at this time. One disappointing race is the one in Granite City, and I think the Democrats are going to lose that seat. So,
which one is that, Bob?
John Janik is winning by pretty solid margin over Emily, Gavinsky, yes. Yeah. So she's down, I think, close to like 600 votes or so, and I think there's one precinct out. So I don't see her coming back on that. So.
Well, you never know. We just have to wait and see what
right.
happens and go from there. But
right, the other race to look at is Chris Tharp. Chris Tharp currently is ahead, and I think that's very favorable for him at the votes that are in at this time. So
That's an interesting race too. I agree.
right.
We'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, hey, again, appreciated the service you provided to the public when you were the regional superintendent. You were always easy to work for because you always did the right thing. So
Thanks, Rick, and I was glad to call in tonight, and I really thought today was a great election day, and was happy to see so many people executing their constitutional right.
That's right. A lot of people voted, and
Right.
we can be thankful for that. You take
Right.
care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
And guys, more of this conversation will be rolling first. Dan, what are you seeing over there?
You're right on Jersey County on their website. They are showing 22 of 22 precincts reporting with early votes included. Now, they do say vote by mail are not included because we know in Illinois, if you have a ballot that's postmarked by today, it can be received up to 2 weeks after the election. But if these numbers hold, it looks like incumbent Sheriff Mike Ringhausen may be losing his race to Nick Manns. It's still within about 280 votes based on what we're seeing now. I don't know how many mail ballots there were in Jersey County, but that's an interesting race.
It really is.
Rob Worden and Jeff Connor.
Okay, yeah, we'll get those guys on the line. And really just kind of surprising that Jersey County got those results counted that quickly. Is that something that surprised you too, Dan?
No, Jersey County usually does a pretty good job of counting their votes. It's just interesting to see it. We're not even to 9 o'clock yet, and they're showing all precincts in. So that's very interesting to me.
And I'm also looking here, county clerk right now. Pam Wordford had no opponent, but Katie Steckel-Abbey, who's the Republican for county treasurer, is up dramatically.
Hey,
And
Rob, how you doing?
and it's going to be only more as it grows tonight. And really, Dan, a lot to look forward to. Is there anything coming out of Pennsylvania nationally that you can see?
Well, I can give you an update on the Senate race there. I'm pulling it back up.
We got like 8,000 screens going right now. We are your go-to stop for election coverage. Who needs cable network?
I had been looking at some House races that I was tracking, particularly one in Rhode Island. So I'm back to. There's only 35% in Pennsylvania right now, and Fetterman, the Democrat, is ahead. But there's going to be a long night there.
And that's a lot of that could be mail-ins too, correct?
And there's a fight there about certain ways that mail-in ballots are validated. So we'll see what happens there. But Pennsylvania is going to take us a while to find out.
Absolutely, and it's only going to be more to talk about as this election night coverage rolls on. It's 8:56 on this Tuesday in downtown Alton, the heart of the Riverbend. Election night in the Riverbend continues in just a few short seconds after a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Election night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. Election night's rolling on in the heart of the Riverbend, and we have more conversation coming your way. I'll let Rick Faccin take it away. Rick, who are we talking to now?
We're talking to Rob Warner, the superintendent of schools. Rob, how you doing tonight?
Hello, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's kind of nice to reach a point of closure for the campaign, and it's always enjoyable to see the results come in.
It's also enjoyable, and I've been there the same way you have, not having an opponent, and that's the best way to run.
I prefer it quite a bit to the other way. Yeah.
I would agree with you 100%. I've done it both ways, and this way's the best way.
Yes, sir.
How do you see these races going tonight, Rob? Just an educated guess.
The numbers that I'm seeing coming in are looking pretty good for our party's way it looks right now. Still early, so I'm not a prognosticator. I'm not a predictor of anything. I've been seeing a couple of the slips that come in from the precincts as they report, and so I'm hopefully optimistic, as I'll put it that way.
That's the best way to be. I want to tell you that I had dinner with a couple of your staff members the other night, and they speak very highly of you.
Well, thank you. I can't speak highly enough of my staff. I inherited an incredible staff that I've been fortunate enough to keep most of them on. Some of them had better opportunities, and I get that, and folks are going to leave. But I cannot speak highly enough of my staff that have been there. Some of them have been there over 20 years, and they just know what they're doing. They know how to treat people. I try to serve all the public, and I've tried to instill that in all of my staff, and they are 100% team players, and just I could not be prouder of my office and the staff that runs things, and they really do. They run a tight ship.
Well, I think you've done a good job of complementing what stayed with other pieces that you've hired, and as we all know, me and you have been around for a while. It's very important to surround yourself with good people. And I think you've done that. You provided good service and good reputation. Maybe that's why you don't have any opposition. And I know when I was there as the auditor, you were easy to work with, and I really appreciated it. And I wish you the best. Just wanted to call, get your comments, and see what you say, and wish you the best. And,
well, thank you, sir. I enjoyed working with you the time that we did work together. I couldn't agree with you more, and I know you had some great staff members that were from my neck of the woods, from Prairie Town, and I am just, I miss you. I'll be honest with you, I miss seeing you around there. It's kind
Well, I
of been.
appreciate you saying that.
And David's doing a great job too. So
He does do a good job. I commended him earlier in the night. My staff speaks very highly of him too. So you guys are doing a good job. Keep it up.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Rick.
CJ's got a question.
Is it appropriate to say congratulations on your win when you don't have an opponent? How does that work, Rick?
I think that's the best way to get congratulated.
Well, congratulations, sir.
He took the words right out of my mouth, Rob.
I'll take any kind of congratulations. I'll take any kind of positive reinforcement.
I don't blame you one bit. You have a good night.
You guys.
You take care, and it was good talking to you.
Great talking to you too, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we really have so many great assets in our community at the political level. We have Jeff Connor, next sheriff of Madison County. He'll be calling in just about 2 minutes. So we're going to stand by and wait for his phone call. Dan, any more races opening up yet locally, or we still got some time?
I mean, we're starting to see numbers and getting some clarity, I think. But there's still some precincts out. I'm seeing countywide only 107 of 191 precincts are in. But in some of these races, it's getting down to the wire, and I don't want to make calls on races because I don't know exactly which precincts these are coming from.
Right.
But I think there are some that certainly the Republican candidate could be very very happy right now.
Really, and see, you know, I got to ask you guys this while we have the time. We're awaiting Jeff Connor's phone call. Do you think? Have you guys seen anything? Dan, you're the one looking at all the statistics coming in, all the numbers. Has there been almost a knee-jerk reaction to some of the things going on nationally that you can tell, like maybe Roe v. Wade, maybe any type of inflation debacle, any of that kind of reflecting early on?
It's hard to tell without some kind of polling or exit polling data. It certainly looks like in the county we're just seeing the what we've seen over about the last decade. The county has shifted to the Republican Party, and it looks like it's holding that way. Although right now, incumbent County Clerk Debbie Ming Mendoza is ahead in her race. She's holding on. She's up with 107 of 191 precincts, and she's up about a little less than 4,000 votes. But we'll see how that race finishes because we don't know where those precincts are.
We're awaiting right now, Dan. I don't know if you just saw this, but I'm getting a bunch of texts coming in. I'm going to try to see if there's any update. We might have a new majority in the House of Representatives already.
It certainly looks like there's some races that are being called, and that may very well be the case.
And time will tell. I mean, we got all night to discuss it, but
and it would be no surprise to me that the House shifts to the Republican Party. I'm tracking a bunch of races through the New York Times website, but the Republicans only needed a net gain of 5 seats to take the House back, so it was not a heavy lift for them because traditionally in a midterm election, the president of the party in power loses.
Right.
We generally see, and it could be anywhere from 10 seats to 40 seats.
Now, why is that normal? Is there ever an explanation for that?
It's just been traditional that 2 years into a president's term, his party loses at this point, all presidents have been male, but his party would lose seats. We've seen it time and time again in midterms. I still think the Senate is a toss-up, but the House would be no surprise to me if it shifts to the Republicans. The question will be, is it a massive red wave where they get a large majority, or are they going to have a small majority that's a little unwieldy like the Democrats have had the last few years?
Absolutely, and we'll just have to, kind of wait and see. We aren't going to officially, announce that yet, but we are getting numerous texts. I keep seeing it on online, so we'll wait for the AP to call that one as we're awaiting Jeff Connor, new sheriff of Madison County, and that's an interesting text. Anyway, I can't read that one out loud, but I appreciate it. 618-759-7469. Numbers to text. Rick, anything that's surprising you so far after the conversations we've had?
No, I just want to see what goes on and how these races end up. I think it's interesting. In Alton, the 2 county board seats seem like they're going to remain Democratic. Is that right, Dan?
Well, all I'm seeing on the county's website, it looks like it was the early vote in because I'm still seeing 0 of 7 precincts reporting in both races.
Yeah,
but if this was the early vote, Doc Holliday came in almost 600 votes ahead there, and Bill Stoutenborough came in about 230 votes ahead of Bruce Eaglehoff. But we don't have actual precinct
It's
numbers
too early to call it, though, because you don't
reported.
know. Yeah.
And like we've said all night, Democrats tend to do better with the early vote and the mail-in voting, and Republicans, and we're hearing that from some of the Republican officials that are at precincts and pulling the tapes, that Republicans are doing better on Election Day. So that may play a huge factor in some of these county board races.
So we don't have any actual precincts to report at this time.
That not according to the county's website. No, they're showing 0 of 7 precincts. Now, other county board races, we are showing precincts. Here's a competitive race in District 2. Republican Stacey Pace is leading with 50% of the precincts in pretty handily over C.J. Matheny.
I'm not running. That's a different CJ.
Yeah.
I have to throw that out there for the folks at home.
It looks like we have a tight race right now in District 16 between Chris Hankins and Robert Meyer with 50% of the precincts in, 4 of 8. That's less than 40 votes.
That's real tight.
It looks like Victor Valentine in District 17 is in a pretty good position over his opponent, Sean Arnold, with 4 of 5 precincts in. Valentine has 1,124 votes to Arnold's 819.
That's a pretty good lead in a county board race with 1 precinct out.
And Allison Lamoth over Eric Croney in District 18 with 5 of 7 precincts in by over 1,000 votes.
I'd say that's pretty safe, too.
Nick Petrillo over Donald Sawicki in District 19 with 5 of 7 precincts. He's got a 300-vote lead.
Wow. And you know, I'm just excited to see how this night keeps rolling on. I mean, I know that we were talking earlier, some of the judge races are starting to pull away a little bit with, it looks like Amy Scholler. We don't know, though. We're going to find out in about a couple hours.
I have that pulled up right here. With 41 of 70 precincts in, Amy Scholler has almost a 2,000-vote lead, about 1,800.
Okay.
With 40, all of these are 41 of 70 precincts. Tim Berkeley is leading Ryan Jumper by only 30 votes. And in the other race between Barry Julian and Chris Threlkeld with 41 of 70 precincts, Julian has almost a 300-vote lead. So we could see those coming down to the wire. And if they're really close, we'll have to watch the mail-in ballots over the next 2 weeks.
And that's always the biggest bummer for all of us that just like watching the election night coverage, seeing the winners being announced. But take us through that kind of process. Do you guys know much about? I hate to put you on the spot here with the mail-in voting. Why does it kind of take? Why does it take so long? Is that just the process? We wait till after the election and start counting those?
I don't know what the clerk's process is in that. Do you, Dan?
What was that? I'm sorry, I was getting an update on another race.
So what's the clerk's process with mail-in ballots and how they count those?
Well, in Illinois, mail-in ballots, as long as they're postmarked by Election Day, can be counted if they're received up to 2 weeks after the election. Now, there was some news made today on that front because there had been a federal lawsuit filed led by Congressman Mike Bost in Southern Illinois to throw out that law and those ballots, but the federal judge down in Southern Illinois moved that case to hear a motion to dismiss into December, so it doesn't look like it's going to have any effect on tonight's election.
Absolutely. And another thing, by the way, we just got a text to support, and I want to read that because that was nice of you. Great coverage and input by all 3 of you. Good to see Rick again.
Who's that from?
The 618. I don't want to give out their phone number just in case, but they said it's good to see you again. But also, Kemp has just won Georgia.
That was not a surprise. All the polling had shown...
Walker?
He beat
Abrams, Stacey
Abrams. That's not a big surprise. That was trending in the way in that direction on that governor's race. I'm actually pulling up governor's races piece by piece to look at them. One that I'm particularly interested in is Wisconsin. And having been to Wisconsin in the last 2 weeks, it was interesting to see.
How was it?
How you think the TV commercials in Illinois were bad? You should have seen what was going on in Wisconsin. And that race, it looks like, is going to right now. Tony Evers, the incumbent, is ahead with only 47% of the vote in, and Mandela Barnes is slightly ahead of incumbent Senator Ron Johnson. But those 2 races, it looks like, are going to come down to the wire. And you can talk about Wisconsin. For a Democrat to do well there, they have to do well and have high turnout in the Madison area and the Milwaukee area. So we'll see as the night goes on how that goes. But those are 2 races to keep an eye on.
Definitely so. And like I said, we're still waiting for Jeff Connor to call in, so we're going to give him a couple more minutes before we take a break. But you know what? Another thing that I saw, and I don't know how common this is, But I also saw that DeSantis down in Florida did flip Dade County.
Yes, that was a question going in, is would the Republicans be able to actually win Miami-Dade County, which is even going back to 2016, Hillary Clinton won that county by 30 points. Biden only won it by 8 points. And the question tonight would be, would Republicans be able to win what has typically been a very strong Democratic county? And that goes to the gains, I think, that Republicans are making with the Latino vote in this country.
Exactly.
Dan, let me ask a question. That Senate race, you got an update on that with Thorpe and Harris?
I can give you what the Madison County numbers are. That district does take in a little bit of St. Clair, and I haven't pulled their website up yet. But in Madison County, let me scroll up here. Here we go. In Madison County right now, with 77 of 130 precincts in that race, Erica Conway Harris is only leading by about 200 votes.
We don't know where the precincts are out.
We don't know what precincts are out, and I haven't pulled the St. Clair County Clerk's website up yet. I'm going to pull that up to see what is going on there, because both that district and Katie Stewart's House district go into Caseyville and pick up some territory down there that's generally...
How is that House race going with Katie Stewart?
She has been leading in the Madison County vote, which bodes well for her by a pretty decent margin, because those votes in St. Clair County around Caseyville generally are good for Democrats.
That's interesting. And you know what? I mean, that race with Tharp and Harris was a very contentious one. A lot of, we saw all the TV commercials, all the mailers getting sent to us. Now, I have a question. You guys have both been in the thick of this. What makes a race contentious? Because this one kind of seemed like it was from the start of it. What kind of correlates that? Does that just depend on the candidates?
That depends largely on the candidates. And anymore, I'm kind of reluctant to say this, but if you've got something in your background, they'll get to it.
Right.
They're going to get to it, and it's just the nature of the beast anymore on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that race, I'll tell you what, Danny, I don't know how you felt about that, but I didn't think that race got very personalized.
I don't think it did. I think the Republicans did a good job in that race of trying to nationalize it and tie Senator Tharp to some national issues that don't play as well for Democrats in Madison County. And I think the Republicans in Springfield saw that being technically kind of an open seat, because Tharp was appointed to that seat after Rochelle Crow moved on to become U.S. Attorney. So I think they saw that as a pickup opportunity. It was drawn, let's be honest, to be as strongly Democratic as you could draw it down here. But I think they saw that as a pickup opportunity, and they had a pretty good candidate in that race. Not to take anything away from Senator Tharp. He's a great candidate on the Democrat side, but the Republicans have done a very good job in that race of bringing issues in that don't do well for Democrats.
I don't think Tharp could have done anything else. He worked very hard. And that's not to say that Erica Harris didn't, because she did too. But as we go on, and I think the numbers reflect it, we'll see what happens as the night goes on and what happens in that race. You said 77 of what?
In Madison County, I believe it's 77 of 130 precincts.
That's what I was seeing too,
Yeah.
I believe.
And then I'm pulling up the St. Clair County Clerk's website, and it looks like Tharp is winning in the precincts that are down there. Their website's a little bit different, but from what I'm seeing, and they've got some numbers a little crazy here, but vote-wise, he's up about 700 or so votes in the precincts that are in St. Clair County, which is not a large portion of that district. It's a small portion, as I'm sitting here looking at the actual district map.
And I also wanted to ask you guys about Constitutional Amendment CWD. Do you know what is that constitutional amendment on Jersey County's website? Is that
that may be the Workers' Rights Amendment. I'm not sure. I'm pulling up their website again. Yeah, that has to be because that's the only amendment that was on the ballot statewide,
right,
to my knowledge.
And voting no up there, that's kind of surprising.
Well, it's in some respects yes, and some no, because I got to be honest, the talking points used against that amendment were that it would cause a property tax increase, and that was debunked locally by Channel 5 in St. Louis, and the press looked into that, and that came from the Illinois Policy Institute. But hey, when you're doing messaging, I've done it before. It's the same way with the Republicans have used the Safety Act against Democrats, some hyperbole that has been surprising to me, but we see that it's been effective in some places. But one thing that I found very interesting, and I know we're going to take a break here in a little bit, but in some of the polling, the Republicans in Illinois have really ran hard on crime issues.
Right.
And the last poll that I had in my hands that was public polling, and I will not talk about any internal polling I have seen over the last 6 months, but public polling, a statewide poll that was done, had crime as only 9% of people made that their number one issue. So it's interesting to me. Maybe there's some internal polling that was driving that. But public polling did not show that that was a top issue in Illinois statewide. Now, in this part of the state, I'm sure it was higher.
Right.
And I could look at crosstabs and probably that would be bared out. But statewide and in the statewide races using that just didn't seem to be effective.
Absolutely. And while I have you, let me tell you about one of my favorite places to go in town. I just told you earlier, it's Johnson's Corner. Let me just tell you this right now. Kathy and Jimmy Johnson are carrying the reign started by Bob and Judy Johnson, and they're doing so in stride. Listen, they have the best, and I mean the best wood-fired pizza. I always go with the jalapeno and pepperoni. That's just my taste. But maybe try it out and let them know that CJ recommended it. Listen, for the loosest slots in town and just a great atmosphere where you walk in and the moment you get there, everyone's going to know your name. When you walk in there time after time like I do, I go for lunch every afternoon, and I only have one, if I'm lucky. But Johnson's Corner is the place to hang out. I love Johnson's Corner. Their sandwiches are great. Their drink selection is impeccable, but their staff is really what sells it. Whether it's Dina behind the bar or Stacy or Elise or all the great workers they have up there, and Jimmy's son Nash makes the best pizza. It is the place to be because they're always going to be there to listen to you and never judge you and just have a good time. Johnson'sCorner.com for more information. That's Johnson'sCornerAlton.com. And whenever you call them, just let them know that CJ sent you their way. Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank. The local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganass Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganass Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganass Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. Our election night coverage is, continuing right here at 9:24 in the heart of the Riverbend. Guys, great so far. A lot of great results coming in. Nationally, we're getting some local ones starting now. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I know some of the races are getting a little bit larger in some of the vote counts. Dan, anything that's surprising you right off the bat?
Not particularly at this moment in time. I still think the Republicans are going to take the House back, and I'd say the Senate is still a toss-up until we see a few more returns come in some of these races.
Absolutely, and we're waiting now because Sheriff Connor is going to be calling in as soon as he can. He's stepping outside and going to let us know how he's feeling. But with these races, when there's not an opponent, is it beneficial for the voters, do you think, or should there always be an opponent from both parties in every race?
That's a good question. I think on both sides of the aisle, they look at the candidate and they say, is he in play? Can we beat him or her? And if the answer is yes, then you run somebody.
Right.
If not, you're not going to waste some money. There's different schools of thought on that. You're not going to waste your money on that race where you can spend it on another race.
Well, and to that point, I'm a strong believer in contesting every race and giving the voters a choice. Now, politically, you want to spend your resources where they're most effective. Mm-hmm. But I'm a strong believer that you should have somebody running in every race to give the voters a choice.
Absolutely, and for some of the people that that are maybe not. They like to see maybe one day a third-party candidate getting some national coverage too, maybe getting on the debate stage. And you have to get how many percentage points in a national race to get that? Is that 9?
On an actual debate, that's the Presidential Commission on Debates have a certain set of criteria, and we haven't seen that since Ross Perot in 92 and 96.
Well, the reason I was asking that, because some people have made the argument if they get on the presidential debate stage that maybe more candidates run third party. But right now, joining us live on the air tonight, election night in the Riverbend, new sheriff coming into town, Jeff Connor. Sir, thank you for your time tonight, and how are you feeling?
You know, we're feeling pretty good right now. It's been a long battle, but we're obviously very happy with the results and happy to start a new adventure here.
Sheriff, I tell you, I think you've done a great job. You did a great job as a chief deputy, and I think your hire of Alton native, of course, I'm from Alton, and I know the family, Marcus Polito. I think that was a wise choice on your part, too, and I've always found you to be, when I was the auditor, you were the chief deputy, and found you to be fair and impartial, and I'm sure you're going to do a good job as sheriff.
Well, I appreciate that, Rick. We've learned a lot over the last 8 years working at the sheriff's office, and I know working under John Lake and how important the number 2 person is, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what would be the best fit, and everything just kept pointing to Marcos Polito. Chief Polito does a great job at Alton, and I think really the only person who's upset is the mayor of Alton losing him.
I don't blame him. I think you guys will make a great team over there. You always did a good job as a chief deputy, and you'll do a good job as a sheriff. And we worked well together over there when I was there with you. And again, I want to congratulate you and commend you for being the professional that you are.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, and that means a lot to me to hear that from you. And we're going to do our best, that's for sure. We're definitely going to do our best, and we look forward to serving the citizens and to make what we can to make Madison County a better and safer place.
Well, and I'm sure you will, Jeff, but it's great talking to you. Maybe I'll see you soon, and we'll go to lunch or something.
You too, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to call in.
No, take care. Have a good night.
All right, sir. All right. Bye.
It's always great to get some feedback like that from our new sheriff. I mean, this is something that is. How long has Sheriff Lincoln been in the Lakin been in that position?
What's he been there? 12 years.
I believe 2 terms is what Sheriff Lakin, and prior to that, we had longtime Sheriff Bob Hertz, and then even prior to that, we had a very long-term serving sheriff.
You know, Madison County's been blessed with excellent office holders up and down, whether it's on either side of the aisle.
Exactly.
And I'm sure the new sheriff will follow in that tradition, and he'll do a good job, and we'll see what happens and go from there. But I wish him the best.
And another thing that just got sent to me, and this is on the Madison County voter website, the scroll, a motion, I guess an amendment or a measure for Glen Carbon's library having drag queen events that just got voted down. 12 of 14 precincts have reported that. It's a 69 to 31 split. What does that kind of entail? I didn't know you could vote on measures like that.
I didn't either.
Well, that may very well be an advisory referendum. I don't know. I haven't looked into some of these local things, or it may be a binding referendum. I'm not sure. So I can't comment on that. I haven't really. I mean, I know we have one on the ballot of whether we should have judicial subcircuits, and that was a non-binding advisory referendum that just will show the where the voters stand on that issue.
Absolutely, and it's just something that got sent to me, and wanted to make sure that we talked about it because that's something that I've not really seen before, to have a library vote on the ballot. You know, and it's interesting to see that that's the way they voted. But guys, some of these races I know that we're seeing with the state representative race with Representative Ellick and Mr. Silkwood, that's race is starting to kind of grow a little bit more further and further apart. We'll do some analysis. That's why we have Dan Herkert here to let us know when it's safe to maybe project a winner, or maybe just let you guys know here's where our measurements are. And we got even more great conversation coming your way. It's 9:30 on election night, and nationally, anything really shaking the ground yet? I know that Mike, the Senate candidate for the Democratic Party over in Arizona, was up. Don't know where that stands.
Yeah, Mark Kelly, the incumbent, is up there. It's very early there, and I know there were some issues in Arizona earlier today. Nothing that was out of the realm of possibility, just some issues with some connectivity with the internet. No major problem other than just fixing that. But it looks like he's up. It looks like in Ohio that they're going to hold that seat with J.D. Vance over Tim Ryan, which was always an uphill climb in that state, but that'll be a hold. In Pennsylvania, we're seeing Fetterman, the Democrat, is up over Mehmet Oz. That would be a pickup for Democrats if that holds. In New Hampshire, the incumbent Maggie Hassan is holding a lead with some votes in. In Georgia, that's still coming down to the wire. Neither candidate has 50%. I still think that's going to go to a runoff that'll be held, I think, the first week of December. So we'll see what happens there. Right now, Wisconsin is a 50-50. I think that's going to come down to the wire. Those are the Senate races we're seeing now. So I'd still call the Senate a toss-up. But the House, I'd still say my gut feeling has been going in. The Republicans will pick up the House of Representatives when the night's over.
And I'm seeing that congressional race in Nebraska is locked in almost a dead heat right now with Vargas and Bacon.
Well, and that's always been the case. There's always been that one district in Nebraska that has swung back and forth. Democrats have held it before, and we're starting to see it again. That race could go anywhere. There was a race in Rhode Island I was watching in the second district there, and having worked in Rhode Island, I know both of the candidates. And that race looks like the Democrats are going to hold that seat. That was Jim Langevin's old seat.
Okay.
But that one had tightened up, and the Republicans had a pretty good candidate there, but that is increasingly trending to the Democrats.
Absolutely. And I just saw that Democrat Jared Polis won his second term as Colorado's governor, which is, again, I don't think that was really shocking to anybody by any stretch, but great to see these results actually coming in and getting some tallies all across the country so far, not just by, time zone, which is normally what you kind of see during some of these, right?
We're certainly into the thick of things, particularly from the East Coast, because their polls have been closed longer, but we're getting an idea in the Midwest now of where things are going. I just don't see a massive wave, but the gerrymandering that's happened has made House races so much easier to call. There might have been 80 that were truly in play out of 435 in this election, and that's all due to gerrymandering.
Right, and that's another great conversation to have. Is there ever going to be a day where we kind of see the end of that and just do the census?
Anytime you have partisan control of it, they're always going to try to draw districts that are beneficial to their party, whether it be a state like Illinois that's the legislature's controlled by Democrats, or a state like Missouri where it's controlled by Republicans. Some states do have independent maps. I'm still a believer that maps that aren't gerrymandered would give us better candidates because, as I've said over and over, when you have these very safe districts, the primary is the real election. So you have candidates that run hard left and hard right, and they never have to come to the middle to represent the majority. And that's why we don't get things done in Washington anymore, because we've got people that are in their corners and they refuse to budge.
Absolutely. And listen, I know you guys don't want me to say it, but it's about your house again. Clean up. You got a bunch of junk everywhere. There's only one person to call, and that's my friend Denise Sparks. She's the best, and I mean really the best, when it comes to helping you take care of that unwanted mess that your neighbors are getting ready to report you on. Listen, we've all been there, right? You got, kids got soccer practice, and you got to take the dog to the vet, but let Denise come over and help you clear your junk out. Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling is offering an all-inclusive junk removal service and now offering driveway-safe rubber tire dump trailer rental. Denise is really the best, and I mean that, when it comes to helping you take care of your needs when it comes to junk removal. And you can give her a call or a text today. She will get right back to you. She is really good at communicating with her clients and will make sure that you feel like you're getting everything. Boom, right then and there, done. That's how good she is. 618-781-1407. That's 618-781-1407. Or visit their website today, sparksjunkremoval.net. And when you call them, you got two things to do. Tell your neighbors that help's on the way. And number two is to tell Denise that CJ sent you her way. More coverage comes up after this in the heart of the Riverbend on election night. Election night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
Like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices. Located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're right back here for Election Night, 9:40 on this 8th day of November. Dan Herkert, Rick Fassner joining me as we're bringing you coverage of all the races, some national ones, all the statewide races, and the local races as well. Dan, anything that you would like to talk about? Anything that's really interesting?
Well, I would say it's pretty easy at this point. I'm not one to prognosticate, but with 72 of 87 precincts in the 111th district, incumbent Amy Ellick is up by almost 4,000 votes. I think it's pretty safe to say she's going to be reelected, and I think we're going to have her on the phone here very shortly.
Amy Ellick is calling in. She is going to be our projected winner of the race against Joe Silkwood for the state representative seat. And Rick, any thought on that?
Well, I think she beat a good opponent. I don't think there's any question about it. Joe Silkwood's a quality opponent, and Amy's to be commended for the race she ran and what she did. She did what she had to do to win, and she's done that. This is her second term, and she's done a great job. We'll see what happens and go from there. But she did what she had to do to win.
And we're going to have her on the line here in just a few seconds. But as I said, the numbers bear it out. It certainly appears that she has been reelected, and as Rick said, she ran one heck of a campaign.
And she is going to be joining us right now, State Representative Amy Ellick on the line. Congratulations, Representative Ellick. How are you feeling?
I feel great. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing. We are tucked away in our bunker in the war room at RiverBender right now.
Amy, how you feel?
I'm in my own war room as well.
You glad it's over?
Yes, I think every candidate on the ballot, no matter what happens tonight, is glad that this night has come and is soon to be gone.
Well, you ran a good race and you beat a quality opponent.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, I think you're to be commended for the race you ran, and you were elected. This is your second term, correct?
That sounds right. Yeah, I think so. I'm very proud of the race that we ran. I appreciate the voters. I appreciate that they trusted me to bring me back for a second term.
I got to ask you this. How's your dad doing?
He's doing great. He's doing fantastic. I've been in contact with him all evening, and he's watching the results at home.
Well, you tell him I said hi. I haven't seen your dad
I definitely
for a lot of
will.
years, but we go way back. Well, like I said, I thought you're to be commended. I thought you did what you had to do to win. You ran a good race.
You're cutting out a little bit, Rick.
Pardon me? I'm sorry.
You were cutting out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we lost Amy. Amy, you still
I'm
you're
here.
still here? Oh, okay, sorry
I'm
about
here.
that. We had
That's okay.
live radio and show makes it fun. I wanted to ask you this real quick, Representative Ellick, before I give Rick back to you. I wanted to ask you what the plan is now that you won. Are you going to take a couple of days off, get the much needed rest you deserve, and what's step one going forward and during your second term?
Sure. Well, there will not be any time off because we'll be back in Springfield next Tuesday, actually. So I've got bills and resolutions that I have been working on and preparing, and I'm going to be preparing for a committee meeting. So no, there's no rest for the weary, but that's okay. It's fantastic. We'll keep moving on, and just excited to have the opportunity to go back to Springfield.
Well, my advice to you, Amy, is you find the time and take it. It's a grueling. I've been through this, and I'm telling you, it's a grueling ordeal. It's very satisfying when you win on election night, but it would probably benefit you if you and your family take some time off when you have a time available to you. Take a vacation, go somewhere, and take it easy.
I will hopefully take that advice. It just may not be for a week or two. We'll see.
That's all right. Well, I wanted to call and congratulate you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, CJ. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Representative Ellick. And that was Representative Amy Ellick, who we projected moments ago, taking the House race, beating Joe Silkwood, might as well. And it's 9:44 here. It's election night in the Riverbend. And guys, we have had really just a lot of interesting things that we're seeing coming down the line. Dan, anything that you're looking at right now?
I'm really interested in our local county clerk's race with 158 of 191 precincts in. Challenger Linda Andreas is up by a very small margin, about 450 votes.
Wow.
It looks like that one's going to come down to the wire.
Wow. And is that one that you're going to think we're going to have to start looking at mail-in ballots?
Right now, I wouldn't say that,
Okay.
but we'll see where those precincts are that are coming in. Not knowing where they are, I can't give you a projection of who they're going to benefit.
And talk to us about that really quickly. What you know obviously whenever we hear the tickers, people at grabbing numbers for candidates, how is that so much different for you as a campaign manager other than what you're doing now and just looking at that general number?
Well, what you like to do in a campaign is you have poll watchers at the polling place, so when they print out the tape of the election day vote, you have that number. You can plug it into a spreadsheet, and you can get a pretty good sense of where things are going, and then you're just waiting on the absentees and the early vote to come in on the county's website.
I got to ask you this: what's the worst? Is it not a lot of numbers coming in when it's back and forth, or is it worse whenever you see a landslide and it's not in your favor?
Well, it's never good when you're on the receiving end of a landslide, and let me tell you, as somebody that's spent a career working for long shots, I've been on the receiving end of the bad news on a few of those, and I've also had a few where I've been involved in some upsets. So you just never know, and I've done it so long that nothing surprises me anymore.
Absolutely. And Rick, I got to ask you, right now, as we keep creeping further and further into the night on this election night Tuesday, what are you kind of looking at now after we got the word that Amy Ellick is going to go back for her second term? What are you kind of looking at now? Is it still that Harris-Tharp race?
The Harris-Tharp race is very intriguing to me, along with W. Ming's race.
Yes.
Those are the two races that I'm keeping an eye on now, and of course the judges, they're still in play too.
Are we seeing any movement in the Amy Scholler race?
On the judge races, I'm pulling that back up. I would say if I was Amy Scholler, I would be feeling very good right now. With 59 of 70 precincts in, she's up almost 3,000 votes.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Berkeley is in a good position. He's up about 700 or so votes. And the really tight race is the Julian Threlkeld race with 59 of 70 precincts. Threlkeld is up by less than 200 votes, so that one's a little tighter.
Any of those surprising you right now?
Not overly, no.
Okay.
I think they're about where I thought they would be going in.
If you want to text into the show, 618-759-7469. Got one from the 618. Congratulations to Amy Ellick. I want to make sure that we got that out to her. And, guys, I mean, there's still so much left here in the night. We're just getting started, it seems like, and we're going to get these results. It seems like they almost come in a flurry sometimes, too. And what does that kind of do with have you guys been in that, Rick, have you been in that position? I'll start with you first, where you're up at a time or you're down at a time and you know that the result, everybody else's race is getting called, but yours hasn't?
Well, Dan was my campaign guy when I ran every time, and to be honest with you, and Dan, I think you can add some clarity to this. We were never in this position.
Oh,
and I don't mean to sound that as an arrogant statement, but no, I was never in that position. These are different times, and I commend anybody that can put their name on a ballot and run. You're putting your personal life out there, and as we see, everything seems like it's fair game anymore.
Well, particularly in this day and age, it's entirely different being a candidate than it was even 5 years ago.
Right.
Because of how nasty some of these races. You know, I've worked a lot of races that were very, very hard fought, but I don't think I was ever in one that was as nasty as we're seeing now.
Yeah, and my rule of thumb was always, if it's documented and it's there, then they're in play. But I don't like this personal stuff.
Yeah.
And that's coming from both sides. And I think that you can cross the line sometimes with people's private lives. But it is what it is anymore.
We've certainly come to a point where it's anything to win in a lot of races.
Right.
And that's a sad state of affairs. And that's part of the reason I'm glad I don't really do this anymore because like I said, I was in the trenches for some tough races that were very hard fought, but nothing like we're seeing today with the vitriol and just the absolute hatred of the other side.
And it really is. It's not going to lead to anything constructive. Does that play a part into this gerrymandering too? Whenever you start getting this heated and this contentious, does it give the other side the right to?
I think, like I said, the gerrymandering has made races won or lost in a primary, so candidates run, depending on their district, hard to the left or hard to the right. So you get these very ideologically rigid candidates, and you can't get anything done that way.
Well, let me ask you guys a softball. Do you think, this isn't 60 minutes, so I don't have to ask the real hard-hitting ones yet, but do you think there's really going to be a time in the near future, we'll say by the next presidential election or the next midterm year, is there going to be more normal election that we're used to seeing in years past, or is it going to get worse?
I think it's going to get worse.
I would tend to agree with that. I'm always the optimist. I'm still somebody that believes government and elections can work and do good things for people, but I just don't see it getting better anytime soon.
I don't either.
And one thing that happens with where we're at, since we're off on this tangent now, is we don't get the quality of candidates anymore in a lot of races. And that's not to take anything away locally. I think we've got great candidates on both sides of the aisle. And people know my leanings that know me, but I'll compliment the other side. Rick's complimented them tonight for putting a great slate together. But just from a broader point across the country, we don't get the quality candidates because people don't want to put themselves and their family through the crap, frankly, that they have to do to serve in public office.
I think Dan's touched on that 100%. And again, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it gets better, but I don't see it going in that direction.
No.
And we'll just have to wait and see and go from there.
I do want to point out, Rick, not to cut you off there, but Eric Schmidt was named the new senator out of Missouri, beating Trudy Bush Valentine.
That's definitely not a surprise.
See, and I was a little bit more intrigued with her support in the unions. I thought maybe that would help propel her past the boot heel.
Missouri is just a state that is shifted from the days when they had Mel Carnahan as the governor. Even Jay Nixon is the governor. It's just a state that you're not going to compete in well as a Democrat anymore.
Absolutely. And before we take our next break, is there anything that you guys are seeing so far that you want to get out before we go?
There was another point I wanted to go back to with how we count votes now, because we have the early voting and such a reliance on mail voting, particularly because of COVID in the last election. It takes longer to count the votes because people aren't all voting on election day anymore. So we do take a little bit longer, and I'm sorry that there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and most of them, frankly, are BS. Because one thing about this country is we have a very decentralized election system. just take Illinois, for example. I believe there's 118 election authorities because every county clerk is an election authority. And then you have like the city of I believe it's Peoria has their own within Peoria County. So it's not like we have nationally run elections. There's so many different election authorities across this country. It's so decentralized. This idea that there's some nefarious plan out there to steal elections is, frankly, it's tiring. Because you have people make that argument, and Rick was talking about this earlier tonight off air. If I lose, the election was rigged. If I won, it went my way. So you can't have it both ways.
And too, I mean, let's be honest about this too. It's not like, we know the big one, but there's also been times in 2016 we heard that same rhetoric from the other side.
Yep.
It's now gotten to the point where it's more, pronounced on one side than it is the other. But this isn't new. I mean, it's just growing, right?
For the most part, our election officials in this country do a very good job.
I'm right there with you guys. And it's 9:53. What we're going to do is take a quick break here on Election Night as our coverage continues on RiverBender.com. But let me tell you guys about Fisher Lumber again. I mean, can you imagine 81 years of business? 81. You got to be doing something right. Growth in a strong family presence in East Alton for Fisher Lumber has been ever since then. And since the company's founding in 1941, the full-service lumber yard has more than tripled and expanded business all over the St. Louis and Metro East area. Listen, Fisher Lumber is going to continue to serve a large range of customers. We're talking from building contractors, government agencies, small businesses, hospitals, churches, and factories to individual trade. The company strives to cater to all of its customers and their individual lumber needs. It delivers 60-mile radius. You can't go wrong, and it does a lot of business on both sides of the river. With pride, the Fishers have watched their business continue to succeed and grow over the past 81 years in East Alton, and they'll watch it grow for another 81. For more information, visit FisherLumber.com. That's FisherLumber.com, or give them a call today, 618-259-7434, or FisherLumber.com. Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
Like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganass Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganass Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganass Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. Election Night in the Riverbend is continuing now, 9:58 on the November 8th, fall evening that it is. And, well, guys, I mean, here we go. We're starting to really see some numbers now. And I got to ask you, how are you guys feeling? What are you looking at? Are you guys thinking any seats are getting ready to be called or any races that you're ready to call?
I can't say I'm surprised by much at this point locally, and that's where I've been a little more focused the last hour.
Right.
It looks like the Senate race is in the 56th district between Tharp and Harris is very tight. They may be seeing some more numbers than we are, but what we're seeing, that looks like a tight race. The county board races are finally starting to shake out.
Who any clear winners yet in county board?
Yeah, we've got some pretty clear winners. In District 2, Stacy Pace is going to win over Matheny. That's not even close. It looks like here locally a race of note between Doc Holliday and Mike Veloff. We only have 3 of 7 precincts in, with Holliday having about a 700 vote lead, but we don't know where those precincts are still out. But at this point, I'd say with almost half in, Doc should feel okay. But then again, like I said, they may be seeing some more numbers than we are. And the other race locally, District 9, between Stoutenborough and Eaglehoff, with 1 precinct remaining, Stoutenborough has a 126 vote lead, which with 1 precinct out, depending on if it's a major precinct, Eaglehoff would have to have a lot of strength in a precinct to pull it off.
And you know what, Dan, that's a great point, because so many of these board races, I mean, they can be defined by what neighborhood they live in for some of these precincts, and that could be the determination of that race. Are we going to see that tonight, do you think?
It's possible. Like I said, if I could see and know exactly what precincts we're in, I could probably give you a pretty good projection.
Right. We'll have to get our own runners next time around.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, in District 16, it looks like Robert Meyer is going to beat Chris Hankins. All precincts are in, and Meyer is up 81 votes. I doubt there's enough mail-in votes there to alter that race.
Right.
Looks like Victor Valentine is going to hold on to his seat in District 17. There's a precinct out, and he's up about 300 votes. In District 18, it looks like Allison Lamoth is going to beat Eric Croney, Lamoth being the Democrat. In District 19, Nick Petrillo looks like he's going to win over Donald Sawicki. District 21, it looks like John Janik is going to has easily beaten his opponent, John Janik being the Republican. I'm only looking at races that are contested. I'm not looking at. It looks like Skip Schmidt in District 24. He's holding a very small lead over, I believe her name's Kohoutek. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. There's still 2 precincts out there, so I wouldn't even fathom making a call. With all precincts in District 26, Republican Jason Palmero is up almost 100 votes over Colin Van Meter. Probably not enough mail-in ballots there, but we'll have to wait and see. We're still looking at these judicial races that haven't changed from what we can see. Julian and Threlkeld are still tight, less than 200 votes with 59 of 70 precincts. Jumper is down to Berkeley by 700 or so votes. same amount of precincts.
Wow.
I would say Amy Scholler should be feeling very good tonight. She's up about 2,800 votes with 11 precincts out, so I would tend to think that she's going to pull that race off.
So we aren't ready to project that one yet, but it's close.
I would say it's likely.
Okay. And, the one that really I thought would be very close was the Julian and Threckhold race, and that's kind of showing to be that way. Are we going to see tonight, do you think, is there a chance right now that that the Republicans sweep the judicial side of things here locally?
There's certainly a chance of it, and if I was them, I'd be feeling pretty good right now.
Right. And, also more updates on that constitutional question, and that's for workers' rights.
I can give you the statewide numbers on that real quick here.
We keep getting texts about it, so I want to make sure.
With 50% of the vote tallied statewide, it has 62% approval.
Okay.
I don't know where those votes are coming from because the Tribune's website doesn't break it out by county like they do for the governor's race, say. But statewide, the Democrats have pretty much swept statewide races. I know they haven't necessarily called all of them yet, but there's no doubt it looks like that the Democrats are going to sweep all of our statewide races.
Now, I got a question that's out in left field for you, but just something that I was curious about. How do third-party candidates typically do in the statewide races here in Madison? Do we have those numbers? Because I'm just seeing some of the third-party candidates get some results, and right around 3% in Madison County so far.
That's probably tracking about where it normally is.
Okay.
When we do have, we have libertarians on the ballot. Greens didn't make the ballot for statewide candidates this time around, so we're seeing it's running typically about where it does.
Absolutely, and there's so much left here at play. I know that. Do we have an update on Susana Mendoza? Did she claim the comptroller statewide?
I would assume that she's claimed victory statewide. I'm pulling up her margin right now. She's got 60% of the vote with over half the vote in, so she's going to win.
Right.
Same way with treasurer incumbent Mike Frericks. He's at 57% with 52% of the vote in. And the other statewides, I mean, they've already declared the governor the winner. That happened right out of the chute. Incumbent Kwame Raoul, the attorney general, 57% with over half the vote in. Open seat for Secretary of State. We haven't seen that for a long time with Jesse White finally deciding to hang things up. Lexi Giannoulias has got at 57% of the vote. Pretty much the statewides are all tracking together. Pritzker doing a little less at 54.8%, but he's got a runaway. And then Tammy Duckworth in the Senate seat just ran away with that race.
Absolutely, and also, guys, for all of you that are wanting to keep tally at home for your national Senate races, Chuck Grassley has taken his seat again in Iowa. We didn't expect that to be in play. Alex Padilla over in California won that election, and then Mike, I always get in trouble with this last name, Dan. Mike Crapo over in Idaho has won that seat as well over for the United States Senate, and that's so far what we're looking at. And then Eric Schmidt, and of course, winning in Missouri, and Mike Bennett winning over in Colorado in the 9 o'clock hour. But still, so far, there's still a lot of races to be determined here.
Nationally on the Senate side, I mean, Georgia, one of the most hotly contested. Herschel Walker has a small lead over Raphael Warnock, but there again, if nobody gets 50%, that goes to a runoff. And in Georgia, as we saw 2 years ago, those mail ballots coming in will likely benefit the Democratic candidate.
Absolutely, and so what's kind of that comfort zone for a Democratic candidate in that position, knowing that there's some mail-in ballots coming in down the line?
Well, I'm sure the team down there has projections, and they know how many ballots are outstanding if they're worth their salt, and I'm sure they are with the team that was assembled down there. Both sides had a good team down there.
They really did. They brought it all out.
I'm surprised it hasn't been called yet, but it looks like J.D. Vance is going to win Ohio, which is a hold because that was retiring Senator Rob Portman's seat. Tim Ryan was probably the only Democrat that had a shot to win there.
Right.
And he put on one heck of a race, and maybe Democrats should have spent more time in Ohio trying to help Tim Ryan. I don't know. That's just a thought. Pennsylvania is tightened up. We knew it was going to be close. And then there's a fight there about how ballots are coming in, the mail ballots. New Hampshire, it looks like Maggie Hassan's going to hold on, but there's only 45% of the vote in there. Wisconsin, Ron Johnson has a slight lead over Mandela Barnes. We'll see how that race turns out. In Arizona, incumbent Mark Kelly is holding serve, as they say, with half the votes in, but that's another state that's going to be a long way off. And Nevada is a state to keep an eye on because Catherine Cortez Masto has seen her race tighten up significantly. And with Harry Reid having passed away, you got to wonder if the old Reid machine, as they call it, is going to be able to deliver for her, particularly in the Las Vegas area.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And you know, honestly, you made a great point in Ohio, because that race was tightening towards the end and in the middle part of it in the summer.
Ohio is an uphill climb for Democrats these days.
Right.
Sherrod Brown is an incumbent senator there that has been able to do well. We'll see how the final numbers are with Tim Ryan, but it certainly looks like J.D. Vance is going to hold that, and most of the projections say it's very likely to be a hold for them. So I'm pretty comfortable saying that they're going to hold that seat.
Rick, how are you? What are you looking at now as this is starting to kind of wind down a little bit? We're getting more projections, more numbers coming in. How are you? What are you looking at? What are you feeling?
Well, it's still the same story. I'm looking at the Senate race with Chris Tharp and Erica Harris, the county clerk's race with Debbie Ming and Linda Andrus, and we're looking at the judges.
Right. And, you know, the county clerk race is really surprising to me.
Yeah,
and I'll just say that, you know, I really not giving my thought out on who I voted for, but it's just, to me, I thought that there was a lot of support for Debbie Mendoza. And right now, you know, Linda Andreas is doing a great job of getting her supporters behind her.
Well, you have to see that there's a baked-in advantage for Republicans in Madison County, and they've given everybody a race the last few cycles, and they've won a lot of the county-wide seats.
Exactly, and it's going to be an interesting night when it comes into terms like that. And, you know, even at the national level. Now, I have a question for you, Dan. You've been a part of a lot of those types of, you know, been a part of a lot of races. Whenever you have a big Senate race or something like that, is the president in the war room with his own team kind of watching this and how it unfolds, or is he waiting to get the results tomorrow?
Well, certainly the White House political staff is keeping the president updated on what's going on. That's just typical of it's not just this president.
Right.
They have their own war room where I believe it was reported today they're in the Eisenhower Executive Office building across the street from the Oval Office, but he's getting updates regularly, just like any president would.
Okay.
And we're starting to see, I think, a midterm, as we've said over and over. The party of the president in power generally loses seats, and it looks like on the House side that's where it's going. The Senate is still a toss-up. There's no doubt about that.
And, you know, I was going to ask you guys that question earlier, and, you know, feel free both of you to chime in on this. Why is it that the midterm year just really isn't good for the president's political party?
It's just typical of people making a switch. I mean, we saw a huge one in '94 when the Republicans, led by Newt Gingrich, in their contract with America, won back the House for Republicans for the first time in something like 40 years and had a majority. And that was during Clinton's first midterm. Clinton's second midterm in '96 was not a horrible midterm considering how many seats you normally lose, but pretty much since the Reagan years, the party in power in the White House usually loses seats.
Well, and I think in this midterm, I mean, let's face it, gas prices are up, food prices are up, and people vote their pocketbooks. So that is a simple answer, but it's probably an accurate answer.
And as we keep going through election cycles, things have changed. Particularly, I mean, Rick, you've done this a lot longer than I have, but campaigns have changed, politics have changed. You can pretty much throw the old rule book out the window.
I think you have to be a special candidate anymore on the Democratic side because of the messaging that's coming from up north and what you do in here. Yeah, I mean, it's changed. There's no question about it.
Let's just real quick talk about how Madison County has changed. Back as far as 2000, Gore took 53% of the vote. In 2004, Kerry took 51%. In 2008, Obama took 54%. In 2012, Obama took 48%. In 2016, Clinton took 39%. And in 2020, Biden took 42%. So you can just see the shift on the presidential level.
Right.
Same way with the gubernatorial level. In 98, Glenn Pichard took 52%. Blagojevich in 02, 56%. 06, Blagojevich 55. Starting in 2010, Quinn takes 40%. Quinn takes 36% in 2014, and then Pritzker brought it back up in 2018 to 45%. But Pritzker, all the statewide Democrats are being beat in Madison County this year.
And I mean, it kind of ties in, Rick, with what you're saying. It almost seems like there's just a growing disconnect from up north to down south in Illinois.
I don't think there's any question about it. The message in northern Illinois is different than what it is down here.
You've seen a dramatic shift in southern Illinois just over the last 20 years. Southern Illinois used to be solidly Democratic, even going back to, let's say, use 98 as an example, with Glenn Pichard, a congressman from southern Illinois, ran very well. And the Republicans used to win. They held the governorship in Illinois for 26 years because they won the collar counties, the suburbs outside of Chicago. Those have shifted to the Democratic side in the last few election cycles, where southern Illinois has shifted very hard Republican. And we've seen that a lot. We've seen that in Missouri, used to be a tighter state. Arkansas had elected Bill Clinton as their governor at one point.
Right. And it's really interesting, and great points being made all around. What we'll do now, let's do this. We have some time. We'll take our one of our last breaks of the broadcast. We're already down to less than 45 minutes to go on this broadcast. We're going to get more insight from the candidates. We're going to bring you the Madison County board member numbers too, and we'll get back with more election night coverage in the Riverbend. But right now, before I do that, I want to tell you guys about Joe's Electric. You guys know going solar is really just the way to go. It has to be the way to go, because think about this. With renewable energy credits and 30% federal tax credits going, solar just makes sense. I mean, it really does. Joe's Electric Incorporated in Staunton is offering agricultural, commercial, and residential solar. Battery backup options. They also have electrical vehicle charging. That's huge nowadays. And trust me, my dad just got an EV, and it's really working well for him. And also, electrical services are always available too. Let Joe's Electric design a system that's right for you and specifically for you. You can search or call Joe's Electric Incorporated in Staunton today for a free estimate, and that's courtesy right over here of Election Night in the Riverbend. 10:14 on this 8th day of November. We'll come back with more coverage after this. Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
To get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. We're back with our election night coverage in the Riverbend, 10:18 on this 8th day of November. Dan Herkert standing by. Dan,
It certainly looks like we've got a new county clerk coming into office, because it shows all precincts are in, and it looks like challenger Linda Andreas is up 2,700 votes over incumbent Debbie Ming Mendoza. So it certainly looks like we've got a new county clerk.
Riverbender is going to make that projection now. Linda Andreas is going to be the next county clerk for Madison County, beating incumbent Debbie Ming Mendoza. And that's a surprising one for me, guys. I really did not expect that to be the case. Dan, are you kind of thinking that too, or what?
I think it tracks with where the county's going.
Yep.
I really do. I mean, Debbie's been a great county clerk, but the county is trending. It's hard for Democrats in Madison County.
And do you think that there's a real correlation with that? Is it the national thing? Was it the SAFE-T Act? Was it national?
I think all this started, I think you can trace it back to about 2010 in the middle of Obama's first term, when the whole country started shifting.
That's interesting.
And there's a whole lot of analysis we could go into of why that happened. That is, maybe we just do a morning show on that sometime.
I'm telling you, we could.
One other race I think that's of local interest is it looks like Doc Holliday is going to hold on to his county board seat. There's 7 of 7 precincts in, and he's got a little under 800 vote lead. And the really interesting one here is in District 9, County Board District 9, between Bill Stoutenborough and Bruce Eaglehoff, with 7 of 7 precincts in. Bill Stoutenborough has a 15-vote lead. Wow. So I would be hesitant to say there's enough mail-in ballots within the county board district to change that, but that's certainly, wow, talk about a close race there.
Absolutely. And when's the right time? I mean, there's always, when you're that close, is that where you start looking to maybe do a recount?
Well, you wait the 2 weeks and see if mail ballots come in, and does that tighten the race even further, or does it expand the race? And then you certainly would consider maybe looking at some precincts of a recount, but we'll have to see if there is any mail ballots out in that district.
And is there any way to tell until the next day, really, or the next couple of days?
You'd have to go down to the county clerk's office and pull who had mail-in ballots, and then cross-check that with the district they live in and see if those are still outstanding, or maybe those people showed up and voted today and didn't use their mail-in ballot.
Absolutely. And Dan, what are we looking like in terms of judicial race in Madison County? Are we able to make
We can probably call those. Let me pull those back up. It looks like with all precincts in, Threlkeld has an exact 400 vote lead over Barry Julian, which is probably it is insurmountable. There's not enough mail ballots there.
Are we going to call that one?
I would, barring something that I don't know or foresee, I would say Threlkeld is going to win that race. The next race, Tim Berkeley versus Ryan Jumper, it looks like Berkeley has about an little under 1,100 vote lead. That's probably a win. And then Amy Scholler has a sizable win. That one's an easy call. She's got over 3,400 vote lead with all precincts in, so she should be having a very good night. But it looks like the Republicans are going to sweep the judicial races.
And we're going to make those projections now. Tim Berkeley, we're going to project as the winner as well with Judge Threckhold and Judge Amy Scholler now being projected from our calculations here at Riverbender as the winner of those judicial races. And guys, I mean, we hinted at it earlier. I did a little bit. Are we going to see a sweep? And it looks like we did.
And in another race, it certainly looks like, I pulled the numbers from St. Clair County to go along with Madison County. It looks like Erica Conway Harris is going to win the Senate race over Chris Tharp. Unless there's some numbers out there that I can't find, she won in Madison County, and I looked at the small number of votes in St. Clair County, and Chris Tharp did not make up the votes. So unless there's something out there that we're not seeing, it looks like Erica Conway Harris is going to be our new state senator.
Should we project that one now, or should we wait a little bit longer?
I would go ahead and project it.
There you go. Erica Conway Harris is the new projected winner for that Senate race, and that was a highly contested one, Dan. I mean, I really thought that one would be something we saw, the vote, the results the next couple of days.
I mean, it's certainly a closer race, but it's.
You want me to call her?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, she's going to win it.
And it's just wow. I mean, this is all you hinted at. Maybe would this be a red mirage? Would this be a red wave? I mean, we're starting to look at almost a wave here.
Well, the county is no surprise because we've seen how it's trended over the years, and I still, I still say the Republicans will win the House of Representatives in Congress.
How you doing? Well,
it's really just kind of anybody's.
We're projecting you as a winner here at the radio station.
It certainly looks good for.
I mean, it looks good from what we're seeing here.
But we should tell people Rick is on the phone with Erica Conway Harris. We think the numbers look good for her.
Our projected winner of that Senate race.
I hope we didn't jump the gun there, but.
I mean, you're right though, because those numbers really don't add up for in Senator Tharp's favor. It really did not look like it was.
No,
leading.
they've got now the Tribune has 99.4% in on that, and she's up almost 2,000 votes. So, I mean, barring some massive amount of mail votes out there that broke heavily for Chris Tharp over the next 2 weeks. I got to think that she's the new state senator.
No, and I think that's that's a pretty good analysis. So, Rick, what do you think? Is that a smart call now?
Well, I mean, I think that given the numbers that we have here, it's a pretty safe call.
I think so, too. Erica Conway Harris will be calling in just a few short moments to talk about our projected win for her tonight. And you know what, Dan? I think we might be the first one that actually projected that.
It certainly sounded like she was surprised. I mean, for me, the numbers look good for her.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that, everyone knows that I'm just here to host. So tomorrow I'll still be back on at 9 o'clock. But it's a great call. I looked at those numbers. You're right. They just don't seem to add up to Senator Tharp's favor. And that's a surprising one to me a little bit. Not for you, or is
not overly, because I mean, Senator Tharp was appointed because Rochelle Crow had to step down because she was appointed as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Illinois. So they treated it like an open seat, and he had a little bit of incumbency there, having served for a little while as senator. But it was going to be a tough race and a tough haul, and give the Republicans credit. They invested in that race.
Absolutely. And, this is where we start to kind of get to the twilight zone almost of this election night. It seems like we had all these numbers, all these campaign ads, all this stuff going and hitting our face the last couple of days, and now we're dwindling down to actually know who's going to be representing us in our area. And really a lot of surprises tonight. Some not very many, not very.
On the local level, I wouldn't say I'm overly surprised by any of the races.
Really? See, I'm a tiny bit, just because of the way, it just seemed to me like there, especially when it came to Ryan Jumper, he had a lot of support here, and I thought that might have carried him.
I didn't see it. Going in, I thought the Republicans had the advantage in the county.
Right. And Rick, did you feel that way, or?
Well, I thought these judicial races, I'm somewhat surprised by that. And I'm surprised by the county clerk's race. I thought Debbie Ming Mendoza had enough name recognition she would hold on there, and she's done a good job. But you're getting hit with a red wave again, and it seems like that's not a main criteria for getting reelected again. So
Right.
We'll see. But yeah, I'm somewhat surprised by the county races and a few other races too.
And it really is. I mean, the one that actually surprised me the most in this area, and I'm going to go up a little.
Another projection on the national side, this is not local, but the Democrat has held on to the Senate seat in New Hampshire, according to NBC News.
Wow.
Where the Republican has taken the Ohio Senate seat, which both of those are holds. Those are not pickups.
Right.
The ones that we're still looking at pickup-wise, we've still got Pennsylvania out there. Fetterman has a slight lead now with 74% of the votes in. In Georgia, it's deadlocked. It's less than 1,000 votes between the candidates right now.
Wow.
In Wisconsin, Ron Johnson's probably feeling okay. He's up about 43,000 votes, depending on where the votes are there. We'll find out something hopefully. Well, I don't know that we'll know soon there. In Arizona, Mark Kelly's initially his numbers look good. So right now it looks like they're the only pickup. If everything held where it's at now, and we have nothing from Nevada right now, it looks like the Democrats could pick up the Pennsylvania Senate seat, which would give them another seat in the Senate. But we still don't know because Nevada could go any way. Arizona's only 50% in, but Kelly does have a sizable advantage there, and Georgia's just insanely close.
Right.
But we knew that. It was 2 years ago. It looks like it's going to go to a runoff, which is not surprising. And I was looking at some numbers. That race has had something to the tune of like $185 million spent in it.
Wow. Now that's money. That's a lot of money.
I've run a lot of no campaign. I've never run a Senate campaign, but I have
That's
run
more than I'm making a year.
I have run the statewide campaign in Rhode Island. I've done a congressional race in Ohio. I've had some decent sized budgets, but let me tell you, they haven't had that many zeros on them.
I'd say so. And it seems like, and obviously,
And quite frankly, just a side note, my opinion, that's just obscene.
Yeah, I mean, does it really have to be that expensive to put on these type of campaigns?
That's just an obscene amount of money.
If they wanted to, by the way, any candidate that still has anything left over in the kitty, we were going to set up a not-for-profit for Rick, Dan, and I for election night spectacle, spectacle analysis. That's it for America. We'll put that into a not-for-profit and get some money back. But, I mean, it's really just a lot of information. And, we're thinking that Doc is going to be pulling out in Madison County in that board race. Is he going to be calling in? Or
He's got a number. He said he's going to call.
Good. Well, we're going to get some more.
And I go back to that other county board race locally, a 15-vote separation. Boy, those are ones you sweat out waiting for that last precinct to come in. And that last precinct must have been good for Mr. Eaglehoff, because without that precinct in, he was down a little over 100 votes. So that was a good precinct for him. And, there's an outside chance that some mail votes in that district could come in and tighten that race even further. But you just never know without going down to the clerk's office and starting to pull numbers.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. John Janik is going to win the 21st district for county board.
And Janik beat down there, CJ.
It just I just flashed and gave me that little blurb, so I can
tell you
here
because I'm doing the scroll. I'm not doing.
Oh,
you're doing the scroll.
I'm doing the scroll. You're the pro. I'm just here to look.
Well, let me see here. I just the Democratic candidate in that race was Emily Gavilski.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there you have it. That was a pretty large margin from what I saw.
Yeah.
About 40% of a vote there. And really just another one that
It does look like our neighboring House district, the 112th district, that Katie Stewart, the incumbent, is going to be reelected.
Okay. And I also saw that Charles Skip Schmidt is going to be the projected winner too for county board race for District 24. And that's kind of an interesting one too. I thought it'd be a little bit more close than some of those last numbers showed. But, you're right, Dan. I mean, you hit it right on the head. This trend has been coming for quite some time.
Well, and unless you know where the precincts are, I mean,
Right.
we've always known in Madison County, you can look at certain precincts and know their tendencies when you're really diving into the numbers. And that's not just in Madison County. You do that in any race you're working anywhere.
Right, and Jason Palmero has won the District 26 seat in Madison County for the board. Also seeing, too, Mike McHaney is going to be the winner for the judge of the appellate court, 5th Judicial Circuit.
Well, that circuit, he's winning here, and that's likely a Republican. That covers a large swath of Southern Illinois.
That's where I get caught here because of this new redistricting or gerrymandering, whatever we want to call it.
It's just redistricting.
Well,
we don't have to call everything gerrymandering.
Well, there's a definite, gerrymandering state as Illinois is. I think, sometimes it kind of, gets me confused because it happens so frequently.
That district is a tough district for a Democrat. That used to be a solid Democratic appellate court district. It has shifted along with Southern Illinois. So my guess would be that the Republican will win that district, and especially to have any chance, you have to win in Madison, St. Clair County in that district.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, it's just really, like I said, just some of these numbers are surprising to me. I thought, some of these races might have been a little bit more close, and it looks like judicial retention for just in Madison County, that got 69% of the vote for Judy Cates.
And you have to have 60 to be retained, but she's running district-wide, too. It's not just
right,
the
and
county.
That's why I wanted to say it. This is just the Madison County projection.
Dan, and those judicial races, are 100% of the precincts in?
Yeah, it certainly appears that way.
Yep. 100% of them are in on the county's website. And in Rosewood Heights, it looks like we're going to have Steve Brazier, Anthony Kravanek, and Greg McCauley for the sanitary district for Rosewood Heights.
I don't know if that's a 3-person.
It was just a vote. I just wanted to call it out.
If it's a 1-person seat and there's 3, I don't know.
You have to pick 3.
I did not dive into some of these lower level questions.
I want to ask you about the judicial sub-circuit question. What was that specifically?
That was an advisory referendum.
Okay.
From the voters as to whether we should have it or not. I believe State's Attorney Hayne filed a lawsuit against that.
Okay.
I don't know where that's at. I haven't looked at it lately, but as of now, it's in place. So those judges ran in that sub-circuit, and it certainly appears that the Republicans swept those 3 seats.
Wow. Rick, right now, what are your thoughts as we're kind of creeping up closer and closer to the end of our broadcast day?
Well, I think it was a Republican wave. Took the cork out, and the only office of Democrats hold over there is Steve Nunn, the coroner. Unexpectedly, I would say, took Debbie Ming out. County board seats, we held on to 2 seats. Well, the one's pretty slim in Alton.
Mm-hmm.
But Doc Holliday won his county board race. We're waiting to hear from him. Sottenborough, what do you win by 15 votes?
Right now it stands at 15 votes.
Let's hope it, is that going to hold up? You don't know.
My gut feeling is it would, but hey, you never know. There could be a bunch of mail ballots out that are beneficial to Bruce Eaglehoff. I don't know. In a county board race, I would not be overconfident in that, but you never know. But a 15 vote difference is a tight race.
We had a question come in. What were the voter totals for the gubernatorial race in Madison County?
Within Madison County? Well, all of I can just say off the top, all of the Democrats running statewide lost in Madison County.
Right, that's what I thought.
In Madison County, Darren Bailey took almost 55,000 votes to J.B. Pritzker's little over 39,000 votes.
There you have it.
And they all track pretty close to that.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and we wanted to make sure we got that question answered for you. So there you go. Thank you guys for still tuning in. You've been staying with us for all 3 hours so far. Another 25 minutes left to go. And, really, this is, regardless of if your candidate lost or if they won, it really, it's a great way to celebrate, kind of democracy.
And another race that affects our local community, the new 13th Congressional District, with 81% of the vote in that district, Nikki Budzinski has a 52-48 lead.
Is that enough to call?
Nobody's called it yet, it appears, but I would, depending on where the votes are out in the district, because this district stretches from Belleville and East St. Louis up through Alton and Granite City all the way up to Champaign.
Wow. That is a big
they
district.
They do appear to be calling the 6th district for Sean Caston. That was a race up north in around Chicago that had tightened over the last few weeks, and we're still looking at the 17th district, which was Sherry Bustos' seat. She is not running, and that race is very tight. That's at a 51-49 stalemate right now.
And are there any others around here that we've been kind of eyeing that you're more comfortable with, or are we still getting some returns?
I think we pretty well know what's happening locally.
And we're just still waiting for those 2 district or 2 county wide rate because with Harris it kind of went into
St. Clair, but I've looked at both websites and and then looking at what the Tribune has, I can see if they've updated the Senate races. In the 56th, the Tribune has 99.4% in, and Erica Conway Harris has about a 900 vote or a 1,900 vote lead.
Wow!
So that I would, as we called it, I think she's won that race.
Yeah, absolutely, and and that's what's kind of neat about these projections sometimes too. Is sometimes you see numbers that other sites were kind of waiting to hold off on, and I think you made an accurate prediction there. A couple more texts. You guys have done a great job tonight. Been hearing the coverage here and there. Keep killing it. Thank you for that one. We appreciate the support.
How many bad ones are we getting?
I'm not reading the bad ones. I'm here for positive support. That's all I'm here for.
Is there a lot of bad ones?
No, no, not at all. Actually only 2, and those weren't even about us. Those were about candidates running.
Oh well.
We leave those
I
alone.
think we've done a pretty good job of playing this down the middle tonight. We've talked to people from.
You've been more generous, I'll tell you that.
We've talked to people from both parties. We've heard from both party chairmen. We've heard from various office holders, and we've gotten their thoughts and kind of allowed that to carry the day. And we've just reported the numbers.
Absolutely, and it really was. We still have about 22 minutes left. We're going to get some more sound from candidates as they call in if they'd like to talk to us about their race. And like I said, this has just been like you said, Rick, with Debbie Ming Mendoza losing the clerk seat tonight. That to me is a big surprise. And up in Jersey County with Mike Ringhausen, I thought he would surely win that race, and not the case. So there are a lot of surprises, and more surprises up ahead. It's 10:38. We're going to take our last break of the evening. This is Election Night in the Riverbend, and while I have you, let me tell you one last time about Johnson's Corner in Alton. There's a reason it's my place to go. Their food's great. The slots are loose. The drinks are cold. The people is why I go. Listen, Jimmy Johnson and his wife Kathy have carried the reins that his father Bob and his mom Judy Johnson started decades ago, and he has done so in stride with his wife and his family. Listen, Nash is his son there, and he cooks the best wood-fired pizza. I get jalapeno and pepperoni because I like to spice things up. So when you stop into Johnson's Corner, you will see me there. I think Dan and Rick have seen me there quite a few times, and the reason why is because when you walk in there the first time, the moment you leave, everyone knows your name. And you can only find me at one place every day of the work week at around 12:30 or after work, maybe 3:30 to 4, and that's at the corner of State Street and Logan Street. For more information, check them out on their Facebook page. That's Johnson's Corner on Facebook, or on their website, johnsonscorner.com. That's johnsonscorner.com. Back after this with more election coverage in the Riverbend after a short break.
I just sent Erica.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBenderRadio.com.
If you like to get out and go with a friend riding shotgun, the Z-Force line of sports side-by-sides are the perfect machines for you. Whether exploring the backcountry or racing down the trails, these beasts flat out give you more without having to pay for more. Life's too short to stay home.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
Are you in the market for new flooring? Look no further than Ed Eagles Discount Carpet. Ed Eagles has an enormous inventory of carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood with professionally trained carpet installers that will treat your project and home with the utmost respect. Lowe's and Home Depot can't even compare. Our discounted prices regularly beat out the big box stores. Stop by today to have your new flooring ready for the holiday season. Ed Eagles, quality carpet, tile, vinyl, and hardwood at discount prices, located on Humbert Road in Alton.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and they will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible. Covering auto, home, business, and life insurance, our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Election Night in the Riverbend is powered by Johnson's Corner, Sparks Junk Removal and Hauling, Joe's Electric, and Fisher Lumber. Election Night in the Riverbend continues with our conversation with Doc Holliday, who has just won the county board seat. Sir, how are you feeling?
I feel great. How about you?
Well, we're doing pretty good here. I got good company.
Good.
Doc, I want to congratulate you. As always, you ran a good race.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Faccin.
I think the people in your district show how much they appreciate you. How many times have you been elected there now?
Since 1998, so that's 22 years plus.
That's a pretty good stretch.
Wow. Yes, sir.
I know that when I was the auditor and you were a board member, you always did a great job of representing your county board district, and you were an excellent county board member, and I think it shows in the election. And I just wanted to call and congratulate you and tell you good luck.
I appreciate that.
So, anything you want to say? You ran a good race.
I just want to say that it wasn't just a short time race. I've been running that race since January. You know, and consistently going out and talking to people, not just putting a sign anywhere. You know, I put a sign only in people's yards that I talked to and got permission.
Well,
to me,
I think you've ran a good race for the last 22 years, to tell you the truth.
Yes, sir.
You've been on the job day in, day out, and I know that people appreciate that.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone who supported me, because I can't do it without their support.
Well, that's true. And you had a lot of support.
Yes, sir.
You beat a good opponent.
Yes, sir.
The guy was a former alderman, and he had a base, and your base was just a little bit bigger.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to call and tell you, as always, you've been a good friend. I want to congratulate you and wish you the best.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Okay. Take care. Have a good night, Doc.
You have a blessed one as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And another great conversation there with Doc. And you're right, 22 years is a pretty impressive stretch. That shows that you're committed to the voters and they're committed to you, right?
That's what I would say.
It certainly shows that he's made the people in his district happy.
I'd say so.
Because I honestly thought that race would be a little tighter than it turned out.
You know what? That's exact. We were talking before the broadcast today, and that was one that you quickly pointed out as something that would be, tight. But here we go. I mean, that was a pretty substantial margin, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it was.
It was just under 800 votes. I mean, that's a pretty good. That's one of the bigger margins we've seen. And then the next district over, District 9, you've got Bill Stoutenborough ahead of Bruce Eaglehoff by 15 votes.
Wow. That is just, I mean, that really has got to be one of the closest board races in a long time, or a substantial amount of time. I don't want to say a long time. But, I mean, it's really just interesting. And honestly, I think it's really been a great night to be an election watcher, too. I mean, there's a lot of results coming in early, which sometimes the last couple of years we were kind of on pins and needles on some of these. And I think tonight we're getting the results.
A lot of people on the edge of their seats.
I would say so.
I can tell you, as somebody that's done it for at least 10 election cycles, it's a heck of a lot less stressful sitting here watching the numbers and not having to worry about my own candidate.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how does that feel, knowing you don't have to worry about somebody whenever you're done?
I've drank a whole lot less coffee than I normally do on an election night.
Well, that's true.
But we're still, for election watchers, we're gonna be up late tonight and into the next rest of the week to see who controls the Senate when this is all said and done.
Yeah, have we gotten confirmation that the House is back in Republican hands?
I don't know that anybody's called it yet. I have gotten so tied up in the local races, but
right.
It certainly appears that it's headed that way to me. But there's still a lot of races out. I haven't dove into race by race because we're doing more local analysis. But my guess is it's probably going to go to the Republicans. They only needed a net 5-seat pickup to take the majority.
And AP still has the Democrats as losing 4. They haven't given Republicans that 4th seat yet, but they are giving them.
It's the handwriting, I think, is on the wall, but we'll see how that ends up. The Senate races are interesting, that's for sure. There's some tight ones out there.
Absolutely, and the one in Nevada is really just kind of intriguing me a little bit more. And is that kind of still as tight as it was about an hour ago?
Well, we haven't gotten any numbers from Nevada.
We haven't?
No.
I thought we were starting to get them. That was Arizona. How's Mark Kelly looking over there?
That's still, I only see 50% of the votes in. He's got a sizable lead, but we don't know where those votes are at. I mean, Georgia is within less than 3,000 votes.
And
neither candidate, they're both at 49%, so we're going to see maybe votes come in and they get to 50, but it's unlikely. It looks like that's going to be a runoff. I mean, they haven't called North Carolina yet, but I would say that it's very likely the Republican has won there. It's been a tighter race than I think a lot of people thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania is still neck and neck. Fetterman has a small lead. That would be a pickup for Democrats. In Wisconsin, right now, it looks like Ron Johnson is holding a small lead. Depending on where the votes are, we'll see if he holds that seat.
Yeah, and do we have an update on Nikki and how she did?
She was leading. I'll pull while we're
kind of buffering because we got some more
playing around here, waiting on another call to be made. I'll pull back up the congressional races.
And I'm interested to see how that one kind of turned out between her and Deering.
Well, right now, with 81% of the vote in that district, Budzinski's got about a 7,000 vote lead, or just under 7,000 votes. It doesn't appear that they've called it. It looks like the race in the 17th district, which was an open seat because incumbent Sherry Bustos did not run for re-election. The Democrat Eric Sorensen is up by about 5,800 votes with about 83% in. So we'll see if they start calling some of these races. Those are Illinois races, things that are a little more
localized.
It looks like Lauren Underwood is holding on right now in the 14th, and Bill Foster is holding on. Tight races up there, though.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you said it. I mean, this was going to be some pretty close calls, and you even showed me the graphs last night and said, for Republicans in Madison County, it should be an okay day, and you were right on with
I
it.
thought going in that the Republicans in Madison County were going to do well tonight.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, it's kind of just
and there's two races that I've been following, two Supreme Court races up in northern Illinois. One of them, it looks like the Democrat is got a decent lead, and the other one's a very tight race.
Wow. And that's up north. That's kind of not common for
Well,
Republicans.
they did, for the first time in many years, they did redraw the Supreme Court races or districts. Those hadn't been touched for a long time.
Right. And that's interesting. How often now does every state get to vote for their own Supreme Court justice?
Not every state.
Okay.
Some states appoint their Supreme Court justices. We elect ours, and there's always been a debate about whether that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and it's really just a fascinating topic in itself. You and I could go for 2 hours talking about that, and I mean, so many different, so many different states doing different things, and it's kind of, does that make the argument eventually? Should we all be on the same wavelength or no?
It's the decentralized federalist system that we have. I mean, there's an argument to be made that you shouldn't have partisan elections for judges, but
1052.
We have them in Illinois. There was one other. I was going to go back and look at that amendment. With now 67% in, the workers' rights or collective bargaining rights amendment is now at 59.6%. So that's going to be one to watch over the next 24 hours to see if that does eke by.
Yeah, and that would be very interesting to me if that gets voted to a no. I think, or even under the 65%.
I would say if it does fail, the Republicans did a very good job of messaging on it.
Yep, and it's all about strategy in a lot of these races too. I mean, I'm sure it's gotten a little bit more hectic as got social media algorithms and trying to find the right way to market or target your voters. But it seems like, it's all about the strategy, and it's played off pretty well for the Republican side of things tonight. In our county, I'm not saying nationwide
well,
yet.
In Madison County, I wouldn't call it a wave in Madison County. It's just the trajectory we've been on in this county for the last 10 years or so.
Right. And that makes sense.
It's just a logical conclusion of where things have been trending.
Right. And, Rick, what are your thoughts as we got about 7 minutes left in this broadcast? What are your thoughts about the local races so far?
Well, they're the collective bargaining. Some more votes came in, and it went up to 60.1% approval. So that one's going to probably hover around that 60%.
We'll see you next Tuesday when we get the final tally. But, Rick, seriously, how do you feel about tonight?
I think there's some disappointment on the Democratic side when you lose your county clerk and then you lose all the judicial races. Democrats can't be happy about that. Am I shocked? Yes, somewhat. I didn't think we'd lose the clerk's race. I didn't think we'd lose all three judges' races either. But I'd say it's more of a surprise than it is to be shocked. But it's not a good situation for Democrats in this county.
Absolutely. And it's just really baffling. Dan, anything else that you're looking at?
Right now, I just pulled up NBC News. They have the GOP with 219 House seats, which means they would have the win.
Wow. And, I'm curious now to see how those Senate races turn out, because this could be devastating to a Democratic president and, the Democratic Party if the Republicans take both.
We've certainly seen in the past, 2010, that midterm, we lost the House. And then in 2014, I believe we lost the Senate when Obama was president. Then when Donald Trump was president, the Democrats took the House back in 2018 and then split the Senate 50-50. And with the vice president having the tie-breaking role, they get the majority. But I'm not surprised that the House has gone Republican. But the question is, how much? Was it a small wave? Was it a large wave? And if the Senate seats stay in Democratic hands, it's going to be gridlock in Washington. There's no doubt about it.
Right, and so that really you just hit it right there on the head. So that means we're probably going to get very little or see very little accomplished.
I would say it'll be gridlock for the next 2 years.
Right, and it's kind of what many people have predicted if this would be the case, and it's interesting to see. And I know that we're still getting I know we're still getting some texts coming in, and Rick's still on the phone. Election night's still in the full swing of things. And Dan, I mean, anything that has there really been any big major surprise for you tonight, or is it all things that you've seen for a couple of months now, looking at these graphs, looking at these trends? Is there really anything that you really go, wow, they were wrong, or the polls were wrong?
Not yet. I can't wait over the next, it'll probably be tomorrow morning, but I can't wait to dive into some of these House races that I've been following myself that probably our viewers are not as interested in other than the final tallies. Because I'm a political junkie, I want to see the race-by-race breakdown.
Right.
I mean, the Senate races, if it's like any election night, even though I'm not associated with any campaigns or have worked on none this cycle, I'll be interested in these Senate seats and seeing how they play out. I mean, Georgia and Pennsylvania are going to come down to the wire.
They are. And I wanted to ask you about polling, too, because that was a topic I wanted to hit on. How has polling changed over the course of the last 10 years?
Well, particularly with cell phones, it's harder to get good data, and the pollsters are doing the best they can. I've relied on polls and races over the years, but it's harder and harder to get good numbers now. We'll see how the polls bear out. I'm one of those that will go back and read the polls to see how accurate they were. I mean, we could look now in the Illinois governor's race and see the polling that came out in that and give an idea of where those polls were. Because right now you have Pritzker up 13 points, 55-42 over Darren Bailey. And I can tell you what some of the polls said in that race, public polling that was out there. You had one that had Pritzker up 11, one that had Pritzker up 7, one that had him up 22, one that had him up 2, one that had him up 15, 117, 19, 120. So there's a few in there that were relatively close to the margin.
Wow. And I also wanted to throw out there, too, for all of you that are following nationally, Republican Jim Pillen has been elected Nebraska governor. And to me, doesn't seem like a surprise. That's continuing the GOP's 24-year string of success down in Nebraska, so nothing really surprising there. Rick, Dan, we got 2 minutes left. Final thoughts on the election.
Well, it was exciting. This is my first venture here on this side of the microphone, and I enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys being here. And again, maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Oh, we're going to have to, because I think we had a lot of people enjoying the coverage. Rick, thank you so much. Dan, any final thoughts?
This has been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's a whole new ball game for me being on this side of things and not in a war room somewhere and being able to just report numbers out. But I will be glued to the TV to see how this finishes out over the next few days.
Absolutely. And guys, I really want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been Election Night in the Riverbend. It is 10:59 and a little bit of change on this 8th day of November. And tomorrow you can join me at 9 o'clock in the morning for our daily show. We have a lot of great guests, so stay tuned for that. And there's nothing left for me to say, but see you tomorrow and try your best.